You were injured in school.
A prank put this boy in the hospital.
They put me under. I had to get the pencil surgically removed.
Now a student's in the hot seat.
You threw the pencil and it landed straight up.
It was going through the chair when he sat on it.
It was in midair when he sat on it.
Judge Judy.
You know where I'm going with these questions?
Trying to see if I'm telling the truth or not.
See, I knew we'd get somewhere. Dating each other, and according to your complaint, you moved into a home that he purchased, and you paid him during the course of the 6 months that you lived there approximately $9,000. You claim that that was money that you want back now that the relationship is over because that money was really used to defray the cost of his mortgage.
Yes.
In addition, you claim that he has some personal property that belongs to you and a cat. Mr. Lemke says that the money that you paid to him was rent, that the cat belonged to him, that he had the cat prior to your moving in, and he has none of your personal property. What was the financial arrangement when you moved in, Miss Abel?
On May 7th in 2004, we discussed how I could help with expenses. Mr. Lemke brought up the fact that about $1,400 would be fair, and I offered another $100 just to call it an even $1,500 because two women, my daughter and myself, were moving in, and there's a lot of blow dryer and hot water used in that case.
Okay, so you agreed to pay him $1,500 a month.
Yes, I did.
Okay, and?
And then about May 24th, after I had moved in, we'd become engaged, we had a discussion concerning my problem with the fact that I'm giving a lot of money to something that I won't get any return on. And why would I want to give $1,500 toward a mortgage that my name was not on? And Mr. Lemke said, well, I've been thinking about that, and here's what I've worked out. And I have the notes that he jotted down that day to explain to me how this money was actually an investment into his property.
Well, first tell me what he said to you.
He said that because his home appreciates $54,000 a year, over the past 10 years it had done that because it's lake property, that if you divide that number by 12 months and then again by 2 people, it comes out to about $2,200 a month in equity and investment money.
Yes.
And that is what he...
If your name was on the mortgage and if the house was titled in both of your names.
That part was left out. The fact that he...
Well, I understand that, but I understand it's left out of your story.
Right, exactly. But he also mentioned on the same piece of paper in an email to the attorney that I'm willing to invest in his home and that upon sale of the home, I would receive the investment money back plus free equity. And that is also in the handwritten note that he gave me.
Let me see it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this note discusses a prenuptial agreement that the two of you were contemplating.
Correct.
And what he says is, Gail wants to enhance the aesthetic ambiance of my cabin and is willing to invest in it. Mm-hmm. Any proceeds over $775,000 would be shared in the event of a sale. Are you okay doing a prenup for both of us?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you sold the cabin?
No.
Well, your agreement was that when and if the house was sold, you would share in the profits and get your money back. The house hasn't been sold.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So, you can't change the agreement because you're no longer together. You could have just as easily worked out an agreement where you said, well, that's fine. If the house is sold, I get my money back, and if we don't get married, I get some of my money back. But you didn't do that. So you didn't get your money back. The house hasn't been sold. That's your agreement.
But it was a term of our engagement and marriage as I understood it, that money was investment.
You don't make an investment just because you understood it to be an investment. Mm-hmm. So you never came to an agreement with regard to that, according to this. Now, you're not suggesting that Mr. Lemke agreed to support you and your daughter.
Oh, not at all.
Good.
Not at all.
So that your $1,500 a month that you paid went for the roof over your head and your daughter's head, the electric that you say you used because you're two women that use more electricity for the heating or air conditioning or whatever else. $1,500 a month is reasonable. Get over it. Now let's get to the cat. Did you have the cat before?
Gail got the cat on her 40th birthday as a gift to herself. And shortly after I met her, gave me the cat.
When?
She said... We met February 3rd, and she gave me the cat February 20th.
Were you living together at the time?
No, she was living in her house. And she gave me the cat because the house was a total mess of animal feces and stink
Whose
in
house?
her house.
Yes.
And she had trouble with maintaining all the dogs and the cats in her house. So
How many dogs did she have?
I'm guessing 5 to 10.
Is that how many dogs you had?
I'm a breeder, Your Honor, and I had 5 dogs, yes, at the time.
How many cats?
2. And I would like to say that my house was not,
Okay.
as he mentioned.
When did you move into his house?
May 15th, 2004.
All right, so between February and May, the cat was in his house.
No, Your Honor, no. I'm sorry. The cat did not leave my home until April. I had not decided to move in with him until April. And at that point, he asked if he could take the cat ahead of time because his daughters would get a kick out of it.
Okay. When did you move out of the house?
November 26, 2004.
And when you moved out of the house, did you take the cat with you?
No, I couldn't, Your Honor. I had to leave in a hurry because of abusive behavior.
Did you come back on the 27th for your cat? Just answer my question. Did you come back on the 27th for your cat?
Not for the cat, Your Honor. For possessions that I needed, my clothing and that sort of thing that I needed that I could take with me.
Good, but you didn't take your cat.
No, I could not.
Why could not?
He had told me that I must leave the dog and the cat there.
Fine. Did you come back with the police and say, this is my cat?
Yes, I did on February 28th.
Too late. Finished. Cat's his. If somebody took my dog, I guarantee you I would be there. I would file a lawsuit, not for my property, but if somebody took my dog and wouldn't let me have my dog, it wouldn't take me from November 26th to February to say,
Your Honor,
my pet is gone.
I had been asking him for the cat over
Asking
and
him
over
for the
again.
cat, listen to me, asking him for the cat is not what one does when one is missing one's valued, precious pet.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The property that you claim he has that's yours are a soy sauce bottle, CDs, tape gun, painting supplies, and brush.
Yes, a growing list of things that I needed
I'm not
to
interested in your growing list. Get over it, Miss Abel.
And later today,
I read the answer about the flying pencil, but I want him to tell me himself how the pencil got on his chair. So we're going to start from turn around and look at me.
boyfriend Tim Lemke owes for the return of money she invested in his home. Gail also claims Tim won't return her cat.
Go ahead.
I have email of all the times I requested amicably
Just
to
a
get
second.
the cat back.
Starting before February?
Yes.
Show me before
Absolutely
February.
before February. All right, this starts on January 16th. We had had prior communication
No,
until
no,
that
just a
date.
second. So the first
Yes.
time from November is in January that you have proof of when you ask for the cat back. Is that
That's-
what you're telling me? Let me
that's the
see.
proof, yes.
Let me see.
It starts at the top of the page.
Shh. Where's the cat now, Mr. Lemke?
The cat was loaned to a friend of mine to catch a mouse.
Where is the cat now?
Oh, my house. Excuse me.
That was my question.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you right. Apologize. He was loaned out for a very short amount of time, and she demanded I get the cat back and I could keep the cat as long as I kept the cat at my house. So she came back and verified, and that's in an email that the cat was there, and she said, okay.
Where is that?
It's in an email.
You have it?
Yeah, right here. And when she... Shh. Excuse me.
Well, this in January seems to indicate that you wanted to come to his house to verify that the cat was back in his house.
Yes. And I asked again, may I please take my cat back? And he said no, he wouldn't even let me near it. He had the cat missing for a month, Your Honor. That night he gave me 3 different stories as to where the cat was. First it was with an old lady having surgery.
Where are your dogs now?
The one that I kept is with me. The other dogs I placed in other homes because
And what about the cat that you had?
I had the cat for 6 years.
Where's the cat?
Oh, the second cat?
Yes.
Oh, the second cat?
Yes, the cat.
The cat we're
second
talking
no,
about.
No, your other cat. You said you had 5 dogs and 2 cats.
Right.
Where's the other cat?
Right. The other cat went home with Mr. Lemke's nephew and stayed with his brother. I have that cat back now. I'm very thankful to say.
So you have the cat back?
I have the other cat back, yes. But not this one. But in the top of that email that you see, he said, I will give you the cat back if it's that big of a deal. And I said, yes, it is that big of a deal.
Well, evidently it wasn't such a big deal because you waited 4 months to get it back. Now, what property? Are you telling me that the property that you claim he has that's yours are a soy sauce bottle?
Oh, sorry, Your Honor.
CDs, just a second. A soy sauce bottle, that's what you say in the email. CDs, a tape gun, painting supplies, brush, hand pail, rollers. This is what you say in an email.
Yes, as I discovered things were missing, Your Honor.
I'm not interested in as you discovered. Is this the email that you sent to him on January 19th? Soy sauce bottle, CDs, tape gun, painting supplies, and brush.
Yes, a growing list of things that I needed to
I'm not interested in your growing list. Get over it, Miss Abel. Listen to me very carefully. It didn't work out. Put your list down. It didn't work out. You paid rent for $1,500 a month for those 6 months that you lived there. Very reasonable, considering you are two people. You made that agreement, and the fact that it didn't work out, and you did not memorialize an agreement that was more specific with regard to the $1,500 that you were paying him is your problem. You cannot visit that on courts. It didn't work out. Put a period. Move on. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
All right. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was naive. I was stupid. I made decisions too quickly, and I trusted someone who should not have been trusted.
The thing that was left out was when she moved in, there wasn't 5 dogs. There ended up being 12.
Extremely controlling. I was told how to breathe, how to stand, how fast I had to get pretty in the morning, and not to wear gray sweatshirts ever.
I'm not controlling.
That's who he is, and I just say the next girl needs to watch out.
She's a wonderful gal. It's too bad she left.
I'm glad it's over, and I do trust Judge Judy to make the right decision.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Macias versus Ayala, step forward, please.
Medical coder Alina Macias is suing the mother of her son's schoolmate, business owner Sandra Ayala, for the cost of her son's medical bills and pain and suffering. Alina says Sandra's boy injured her son with a pencil.
Step over there. No, you have...
Yeah, no.
Okay, you too.
What's your first name?
Nathaniel.
And yours?
Jonathan.
Nathaniel, you were injured in school.
Right.
With a pencil.
Yes.
You sat down, according to the complaint. You sat down on your chair, and you were stuck in the rear end with a pencil which lodged in your buttocks and had to be surgically removed. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And it is your claim that this young man was responsible.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I assume that you didn't see how the pencil got there. Because if you had seen how the pencil got there, you wouldn't have sat on it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you didn't see how it got there?
No, ma'am.
So Jonathan here is going to tell me, because I read the answer about the flying pencil, but I want him to tell me himself how the pencil got on his chair. So we're going to start from turn around and look at me.
12-year-old Nathaniel Mancha says his classmate, 12-year-old Jonathan Ayala, stuck him with a pencil. Jonathan claims it was an accident.
How old are you?
12.
How do you do in school?
Good.
How is your conduct in school?
Good, too.
Never have any complaints by the teachers?
A little bit only.
Speak up.
A little bit only.
And when the teachers complain about you a little bit only, what do they complain about?
Like sometimes talking and then like a little bit slacking off.
Now, you know Nathaniel, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long has he been in your class?
This year only.
Do you like him?
Uh-huh.
Did you play together?
Uh-huh.
Do you remember the day that he was hurt with the pencil?
Uh-huh. Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how the pencil got on his chair.
Well, I was doing my work and like the pencil was like small. So I didn't want it anymore, so I wanted to throw it to the trash, and
It's just the pencil was small,
yes,
and you're sitting in your seat, and you wanted to throw the pencil in the trash.
Yes.
Where was the trash?
next to Nate's chair.
And how far away from Nate were you sitting?
At least like 2.5 feet.
So very close.
But
So now you got this little pencil, and you wanted to throw it away, and the trash was right next to him.
yes, it was right next to his chair.
What were you going to use to complete your work?
Another pencil that I had on my desk, which was bigger.
So you had a little well on your desk where you could keep the pencils?
And no, I always put my pencils next to my papers.
Do you have a book bag?
Yeah, in my backpack.
Where is your backpack?
I left it home that day.
What were you wearing to school?
My school emblem shirt and my jeans.
Your shirt have a pocket?
No.
Your jeans have a pocket?
Yeah, but they're tight.
You know you're pretty swift. You think that you're smarter than I am?
No.
You're not, Jonathan. Believe me, you're not. You know where I'm going with these questions?
Uh-huh.
Where do you think I'm going with these questions?
Trying to see if I'm telling the truth or not.
Yeah, trying to see if you could put the pencil someplace else rather than throw. What you're going to tell me is you threw the pencil into the trash. Or
No,
you tried to throw it into the trash.
Yeah, I was going to.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And it landed straight up on Jonathan's chair. And he sat on it. Right?
I didn't land straight on the chair. It was going through the chair when he sat on it because he was...
It was in midair when he sat on it.
Yes, it was pointing up.
And he got hurt.
Uh-huh.
Well, whose fault do you think that is?
Mine.
Right. Now we're getting somewhere. Why is it your fault?
Because I threw a pencil.
Because you threw the pencil. You had choices. Right?
Uh-huh.
You chose throwing the pencil. Right?
Right.
So whether you threw the pencil and he sat on it or you placed it on his chair as sort of a joke, it's your fault. Right? See, I knew we'd get somewhere. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Now you can sit down. I mean, Miss Ayala, quite frankly, you wrote the answer. You told me in the answer that this was nobody's fault. It was the pencil's fault. Oh, next to your mother. It's not the pencil's fault. It's his fault. He had choices. And at age 12, he has to understand that there are consequences to making the wrong choice. His choice was he could have held on to the pencil. He could have put it in his pocket. He could have placed it on the floor. He chose to throw it, according to him, which way out, but you know, not impossible. Certainly not his fault that he sat down on his chair, right?
Right.
So now your son understands that it's his fault and his responsibility that he got hurt. Do you understand that?
Yes, I understand.
Perfect. Good. Now can I see his medical bills?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of treatment did you get?
They put me under.
Under anesthesia?
Yes. And I had to get the pencil surgically removed from my buttocks.
Did you have any stitches?
Yes.
How many stitches did you have?
1.
Were you uncomfortable for a while?
Yes.
What did Jonathan say after you sat on the pencil? Did he apologize?
No.
Has he ever apologized to you?
No.
Have you spoken to him since this happened?
Yes.
Are you back to being friends?
Yes.
Good. Did you apologize?
No, I never got a chance to.
Well, now's a chance.
Sorry, Nate, for throwing the pencil. Okay.
Certainly, Miss Ayala, you don't expect the plaintiff to bear any of the cost of treating her son. They had almost $600 in unreimbursed medical bills, and that you are responsible for. Because as between the two of you, he's innocent and he's not. Whether he did it as a joke or whether he did it because he was negligent or because he wasn't thinking. So you are responsible for those medical bills. Are these your only bills?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600, that's all.
Pardon, Judge Judy, you may step out.
Because it was April Fool's, I thought it was a joke. He never made a malicious intent to hurt anybody. He started crying and panicking and that there was a pistol stuck in his rear.
I didn't mean to do it on purpose.
This wasn't a malicious act.
I think it was an April Fool's joke.
20-year-old Ashley Branham is suing her ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old Jeremy Benjamin, for a cell phone bill she paid on his behalf. Jeremy says Ashley prematurely paid a bill that he was disputing.
Miss Branham, this tall drink of water over here used to be your boyfriend.
Yes.
And you were foolish enough to get him a cell phone.
Yes.
A cell phone with a bill in your name.
Yes.
And you did that, according to you, and really not disputed by Mr. Benjamin, so that you could converse with each other.
Yes.
And with a promise that he was going to take care of the bill.
Yes.
Well, he didn't exactly do that. And according to you, within the first couple of months that he had the phone, and it was one of those fancy phones.
Ashley Branham says ex-boyfriend Jeremy Benjamin owes for a $1 cell phone bill.
Now, are you the bargain exception? Because you're going to tell me, because I want to hear it from your own mouth, Mr. Benjamin, because you look like a decent enough young man. She paid the bill because her mother said to her,
I don't want your credit to be bad.
that it was going to ruin her credit. And I assume that the reason she got the phone in the first place is because you didn't have credit.
Something like that.
Well, I assume if you could have gotten it for yourself, you would have gotten it for yourself, right?
Oh, yeah, I was told never to, you know, not take gifts, you know. If she offers, I'm not going to say no.
You were told what? I'd like you to keep your voice up. I want to hear that.
Oh, you can't hear me. I'm sorry. I said my mother told me never to, you know, not accept gifts, you know. If
Your mother always told you to accept a gift.
Of course.
I'm getting to like you less and less, Mr. Benjamin.
Sorry about that.
I knew that it was just a slip. So, why isn't this bill your responsibility?
Because actually, the phones were actually replacement phones. I wasn't upgrading the phones. The phone that I received was a defective phone. So the actual reason why I had to keep sending the phones back because they kept sending me refurbished phones.
Did you tell her that?
Yes, I did. Actually, I did.
Yes, and?
Call her and explain it to her. I said, I called her and I said, Ashley, these phones, I'm having a problem with these phones. I'm going to send them back. So what they do is they send you a phone and they send you a box. You put the broken phone in the box, you put the label on top, and you send it away. So I did that about 3 times. And they tell you before, if we don't receive the phones, we're going to charge you $400 per phone that is missing.
I assume you have all the receipts.
Well, actually, they just have a label that you just pull off the sticky thing and you put it in a box, and you can put it in any UPS. But T-Mobile itself had the actual the
Got it. I got
numbers.
it, Mr. Benjamin.
Okay. So going along with the time and everything that we were together or whatever, I was going through graduation, contracts with basketball, you know, trying to take care of everything I had to take care of. And I explained to Ms. Brenham that I was putting in a claim for the money that I owed, and it was going to take almost a month for the claim to actually go through T-Mobile. They're not just going to give me the money back without finding the phones. Okay, cool. So I get a call about 2 weeks from that time saying, hey, my mother closed the account, she paid the bill, you owe $1,700.
Well, a lot of that was for phone calls, too.
Well, the voice plan, I think, was about between $300 and $400 out of that $1,700.
Well, did you pay that part of it?
I paid $200 prior before that.
Why didn't you pay all of it?
I have no clue why I didn't pay it all.
You didn't pay any of it. According to you, your mother gave her $200 because she was complaining
Well,
to your
no,
mother.
actually, I sent the money to my mother because I was out of the country at the time. I couldn't send a check from out of the country.
Okay, but you only sent her a little part of it.
Of course, yes.
What do you mean, of course?
Well, we made an agreement that, you know, I would pay $200 a month just because, you know, I don't know.
Who did you make the agreement with?
Her mother.
Her mother?
Yes.
But it's her credit.
I don't know. I
Look,
guess she just took
Mr.
over.
Benjamin, I read your answer, and what your answer put succinctly is, you went to Germany for how long?
I was in Germany for 4 months.
Working?
Yes, it's a job.
Did you have a cell phone, by the way, while you were there?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Ah, that's the question that you didn't answer here in your answer, Mr. Benjamin.
Right.
Don't look down there.
Right.
Okay. She had turned off the cell phone. Your cell phone connection to her was over
Right.
when you went to Germany.
Right.
How'd you get a cell phone in Germany that had a chip that allows you to call the United States? That's a fancy phone. How did you get that? No. Don't think about it. Just give me the truth.
Yes, my mother. My mother got it for me out of the kindness of her heart.
Well, that's your mother's problem, because according to you, your mom says you always take a gift, never turn down a gift, right? So, Mr. Benjamin, this is what you have to do, sir. You've got a beef with T-Mobile, right?
Yes, I do.
You don't have beef with her.
I know. Well,
But she paid the bill. You have to get on the phone with T-Mobile, start writing letters to T-Mobile, all of that stuff, and say, listen, you were paid.
Right.
But you were supposed to get back to me with regard to the phones that I said I sent back to you.
But the problem is that the phone was in her name, so I can't call and say...
Sure you can. She's going to call and she's going to give you the authority to do that. You can do whatever you want, because you owe her $1,700.
Right, but they're not going to pay me the $1,700 for
They're going to give it to her.
How can they do that when she paid?
No, listen to me. Listen to me. If you are successful, then she will give you a letter saying you can take all the money, because you're going to give it to her.
Right.
Because you used the phone, you got the new Blackberries whenever they sent you back one of the refurbished ones, which, by the way, I really don't understand. If you buy a new phone, if it turns out to be a dud, why don't you get a new phone rather than a refurbished one? I send that out over the airwaves to T-Mobile and everybody else.
Right.
It's your problem, not her problem. You deal with it. You should have dealt with it before you went to Germany. You should have dealt with it from Germany.
Well, I actually tried, and the thing that I asked her not to do was to close the account.
Well, she had to do that. They were going to ruin her credit, sir. They can't wait for you.
It was still active. I was still using the phone.
They can't wait for you to pay this bill. The bill was outstanding, more than the $200 you sent to your mother.
Right.
Right. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,700. Go try to get your money back from T-Mobile. Thank you very much.
Melanie Clegg claims ex-boyfriend Newell Olmsted owes for rent and a television. Newell claims he's already paid his debt.
Mr. Olmsted, the plaintiff indicates in her complaint that you purchased a television set while the two of you were together, and you lived together for a period of time. You separated, and Ms. Clegg indicates that you separated because she found out some things that she didn't know about you. Does that be a fair statement? Mm-hmm. You have the television set. The payments for that television set was still outstanding when she left. It was some $1,200 left.
It was $1,257.
And on whose credit was it purchased?
Mine.
You got the TV.
Yes, ma'am.
You want the TV?
It's my TV, yeah.
It's not your TV unless you pay for it.
I did pay for it.
Show me. What date did you separate?
We separated in December.
December 2009.
2008.
Okay. After December of 2008, she says that when you separated, there was $1,257 still owing.
There was only $1,000 owed on it, and I transferred that money into her account in January. 2 transactions from my account to her account for $500 each a transaction. She didn't pay it off in time. Then the interest kicked in. There's 2 transactions. There's one on the first stage. There's actually 3 transactions to her account card that she said I owed her $500 on, so I paid that as well.
Okay, explain that to me.
He did transfer money into my account. It was for a credit card that he had on my name because he didn't have good credit, so he could not get any credit in his name.
Well, how much was owed on the credit card at the time?
There was $400. The balance was $1,000. There's $400 charge, and it says on her attorneys for his divorce. And he also owed me for his child's dentist that I was paying, which I have proof here also that I was paying.
I'm not getting so involved in this complicated case. You understand that?
Yes. And then,
I want to know how much was owed on this credit card when you separated in December.
$1,062.
Take a look at this, sir.
All that one is the $400.
The only thing on this that I owe was $400, and I paid her $500.
$400 for?
She paid my retainer for my attorney for my divorce with this credit card, okay?
How much?
She paid $400.
Yes.
I paid her $500 for the interest. So I transferred $500. There's 3 transactions there of $500 apiece.
And so what you're telling me is none of those other transactions on that credit card are yours?
I mean, no.
Look carefully.
That's only 1 month statement.
That's dinner.
I wasn't trying to get for that credit card. I was just saying that some of it.
She asked me.
No. Listen to me, Ms. Clegg, very carefully. I see he transferred $1,500 to you at the end of December and the beginning of January.
$1,500?
Yeah. 3 payments of $500, 2 on January 7th and 1 on January 21st.
I did not get those transactions.
Those are my bank records from my bank account to her bank account. So I don't know how she couldn't have got them.
Ms. Clegg, I just need your checking account for the months of December and January.
Here we go.
December 2008, January 2009.
Do you want the withdrawals or just the deposits that he had given me?
The statement. You should have it. Transfer from. I have 1 January 7th for $500 that you did, in fact, get. There is only 1 on January 7th for $500, sir, not 2.
Oh, you know, as Clegg L., that's a different account. I transferred that because she said that she needed to put it into a savings account. So just a second. You have 2 that you've outlined on January 7th, both to Clegg M. Okay.
She only received 1. But they're 2 different numbers. Hold on a second.
Yeah, there's 2 bank accounts. I mean, one of them was a savings.
Wait a second. How many different bank accounts do you have?
I have 2 savings, and I have 1, which the L is my mother.
That's where you told me to transfer it to.
No. I have 2 different savings account numbers.
Yes, I do. I have 2 accounts. I have 2 different savings accounts. And I have 2 other savings accounts.
Show me those 2 savings accounts.
I can show you on the internet. I don't have anything with that.
Don't
because
show me on the internet.
Yeah, there's nothing. I have nothing.
Well, then you take a look at these.
Okay. Yeah, Clegg L is my mother, not me.
I just put it in the account. She told me to put it in.
You owe my mother money.
Oh, now I owe her mother money.
No, I believe you. Mr. Olmsted.
Yes, ma'am.
I see where you gave her $1,500. She says she only received one payment of $500. That's a lie.
Yes, ma'am.
She received 3 payments of $500. 2 went into her savings accounts and 1 went into her checking account.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't believe that he only gave you 1 payment of $500. Now,
One of the Clegg L is my mom.
I don't care.
But that goes towards the TV?
His defense is that he gave you money after he moved out. Some of it was for his credit card, for his lawyer, and some of it was for the TV, $1,000 for the TV, which at that time, that's what was owed on the TV, which he paid for. He said the fact that you didn't make the payment on it and it went up to $1,200 is not his problem. If I believe him, then he doesn't owe you any money for the TV.
I put $1,000 down on that TV too, which I have proof of.
I don't care. TV, listen to me. All I'm concerned about is whether when you moved out there was any money due and owing on the television that he kept. And there was.
Yes.
And I find that he paid you for it. Now, the next thing I'm going to go over with you, what you say, you loaned him for rent.
Yes.
Now I'll hear what you say. You loaned him for rent. After you broke up, after you moved out, go.
I paid $2,600 to rent. He came to me in January of '09 and asked me if I could help him because he could not afford it and it would not look good in his divorce if he didn't have a place to stay. So I paid in January 2nd, I believe it is, I paid $995, which he was planning on paying me after his divorce. And
just a minute. Put your hand down. I saw it. Didn't you see me looking at you?
Well, I'm just making sure you saw me.
I couldn't miss it. Now, first show me proof that you gave him $2,600.
Okay. Here's that 1, 2, 3.
Don't give him anything. What are you showing me here?
The withdrawals out of the account were the rent for his house. That's a Wells Fargo account. It goes into a Bank of America account. And I had cash so that it wasn't the exact same amount every single month because I was...
Did she give you any money towards rent?
She didn't give me any money. She paid, I mean, yes, she did go pay the rent for us.
When?
January, February, March. But she received half the rent from him, so I don't know why she pulled out $900.
Shh. January, February, March. Now, she was not living with you then?
No, she moved out in December. Just stuck us with everything, just moved out.
And who were you living with at that time?
He moved in, or he decided to stay to help me with the rent since she moved out.
Was this apartment in both your names or just your name?
It was just in my name, but we lived there together, yes.
Did you move in together or did she move in?
Yes. We moved in together in December of '08, and she moved out in December of '08.
Where had you been living before?
We had a house that we rented. We wanted to get into a cheaper place, so we got into a place that was $300 less a month.
When you lived in the house, were you sharing expenses?
Yes.
And why did you move out in December?
Because he was with my sister's best friend.
Well, that's a very good reason to leave.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Even if she thinks it, it's a very good reason to leave.
It is true, but the reason we split up is because she cheated on me.
I don't care.
So.
Actually, that's for another program, another time slot, not mine.
Okay.
I don't actually care about that. All I want to know is she moved out, the lease is in solely your name.
Yes.
And would you tell me why she paid any of the rent for January, February, and March?
She was helping me out, like she said. You know, I didn't have...
She was helping you?
Yes.
Why, if she was furious with you, because that's what she says, she was furious with you.
I didn't say she was furious.
Why? She says.
She says she's furious. I didn't. Why?
No. Listen to me. Hey.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Why would somebody who is furious with you, she says she was furious with you, give you money?
That baffles me.
I wouldn't give you a penny.
I wouldn't either.
She found out about him being together with her friend.
Listen, go get your 15 minutes someplace else, but don't shout out here.
I'm not trying to get 15 minutes. I'm just trying to state facts.
I don't want you to state anything unless I ask you to.
I raised my hand earlier and I didn't get a turn.
Excuse me.
But tell him not to go far in case I need him.
Will do.
I'm pretty sure we'll need him.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Just as long as she knows that he's here. The gentleman Motormouth, who was here a moment ago, did he give you any money?
No.
Towards rent?
He gave me 0.
You never got any money from him?
From him, no. If it came from his account, I don't know where the money came from.
Did you get any money?
That $500 that I put on there that says Tim's half of rent on that page, yes, that's the $500 of Tim's half of rent.
Who is Tim?
Motormouth.
Motormouth.
Yes.
Okay, so you got that money.
That's it.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. So you got $500 of the 26 that you gave him, which means you're out $2,100.
If that's what, can I ask you something?
You're out $2,100.
Yes. Can I ask you something? Is that going towards the TV?
Forget the TV. The TV's over. I've already made a judgment on the TV.
Yes, but if you're accounting that $500 transferred from his account that you see out of Newell Olmstead's account into my account, the $500.
I thought it was from him.
It's out of Newell Olmstead's account.
Oh, well, you can't use that same $500, Mr. Olmstead, 10 times.
I'm not.
You can only use it once.
Tim gave her...
Listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Listen to me. You might be a very, very nice man and have many redeeming qualities. You're not George Clooney. Nobody who's not living with you, sir, is going to pay $2,600 for your rent. Not somebody that looks like that. Do you understand? Take a good look. Somebody that looks like that is not going to pay $2,600 for your rent after she's already broken up with you.
I agree.
But that's what she did.
No, she did not. Tim paid her $450. His part of the rent, he paid her. So that's not true. Yes, she helped
I don't believe that. And I don't believe Motormouth.
Okay.
I don't believe you should have had nothing to do with her. After you separated, you should have nothing to do with her. How come she gave you money? Did you call her and tell her that you needed money for rent?
I asked her to help me with rent. Yes,
good. You owe her $2,600. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
19-year-old Ashley Miller is suing her aunt, Shauna Miller, for repossessing her car. Shauna claims Ashley didn't abide by the terms of their agreement.
Okay. Very complicated story. Let me see if I can simplify it because it's getting late in the afternoon and I'm getting a little tired. This is your aunt.
Yes, ma'am.
Who did a very nice thing for you several months ago.
Yes, ma'am.
And agreed to purchase a car. She was primarily responsible on the loan. You were a co-signer on the loan because you didn't have good credit.
Yes, ma'am.
You went shopping. You put $1,000 of your hard-earned money down on the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And you gave your aunt $1,000 towards insurance.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of car did you buy?
It was a 2007 Hyundai Accent.
And it was brand new?
Yes. Only had 5 miles on it.
And when did you purchase it?
February 8th.
And the understanding was that you were going to make the payments on the car and eventually, hopefully, get the loan out of your aunt's name because she didn't want to be responsible for this thing. And you were going to take care of the car, and there were certain things that you were supposed to be responsible with.
Yes, ma'am, after 6 months.
And your aunt took the car back after 2 months.
Correct.
You want the money that you invested in the car, and you want $600 back for the insurance that wasn't used because she took the car back. So you want back $1,600. Your aunt says that you were irresponsible with the car. In the 2 months that you had the car, you put on how many miles?
3,400.
3,400 miles. Where did you go for 3,400 miles?
Well, I went back and forth to work, and I did go to my friend's house. I went over to their house because they asked me to come visit them every day. So I tried. I went back and forth to school every day after work because I go to school 4 days a week.
Where do you work? In what country? Now, did you loan the car to anyone?
No, ma'am.
Did you make any long trips?
I did one long trip, and that was to West Virginia.
From where?
From my house.
Which is where?
Maryland.
Who did you go with?
I went with my 2 sisters because they were up here visiting from Florida.
Did they ever drive your car?
No, ma'am.
Was there any damage to the car?
No, ma'am, not when I had it.
When did you take the car back, Miss Miller?
May 4th.
So she had the car 3 months?
Close to, yes.
Why did you take the car back?
Well, one of the agreements was that she was to stay in touch with us. She was not to have anybody in the car. She was on our insurance because the insurance was in excess to what she could afford. So we turned around.
Just a minute. Did you have an agreement with her that there wasn't to be anyone else in the car?
Prior to signing of anything, yes. I've had the same agreements. I've got my daughter here, Sherry, who is under the same agreement with a car that we have. And also with my other children. I have a 30-year-old son and a 28-year-old daughter. I've done it with all of them. You know, with the same agreements. I know, good heart, but you know what? It builds character and shows them responsibility. And yeah, I've been batting.
Do you have an agreement with your aunt not to have anyone else in the car?
No, ma'am.
What was the discussion that you had with regard to having other people in the car?
No, ma'am. The only agreement that we had with the car was not to let anybody drive the car and to make sure I make the payments on the car, and that was it.
Not to let anybody else drive it?
Yes, to drive it. That was it.
I believe you.
That was it.
I believe you.
Thank you.
I believe her. Because I think it's ridiculous to have an agreement that nobody else can be in the car.
Well, okay.
I believe that you made an agreement with her that nobody else was to drive the car.
Well, actually, well, okay.
But not be in the car. That sounds unreasonable for somebody who's making payments on the car, who's given you the down payment and paid for the insurance. The insurance may not cover anybody else driving the car,
right,
but certainly being a passenger in the car. Why not? Keep going. So, she didn't keep in touch with you, and?
She didn't keep in touch, and when I tried to call her, she was avoiding the calls. I had to go through my father-in-law to call her to call back. My husband and I went up to her place of employment to where we looked at the car. There was dents, 4 of them, going down this way, not like a car had opened and hit it. The dents were going this way. And
you have pictures of the dents?
Oh, I do, yes.
I'd like to see the dents that you're talking about.
This is the car. Dents. I've got an estimate also.
No, I don't need an estimate.
Okay, that's the dents.
Those are dings. There's a ding. It's a ding. It's nothing. You had no right to take the car back.
Okay.
So your counterclaim's dismissed because you're counterclaiming. You say you're now stuck with a car.
Hold on, Your Honor.
I didn't ask you anything. You're now stuck with a car that has 3,400 miles on it. It's depreciated. Well, you know, as soon as you drive a car out of the lot, it depreciates. But as long as she was making the payments, was she?
Yes, she was.
And she paid for the insurance?
Yes, she did.
The car looks perfectly good shape to me. It may have a couple of dings on it. That's unfortunate. But that doesn't look as if it's been in an accident. You had no mileage requirements. You have no basis to take the car back. Yes?
We did have mileage requirements, and the reason why she wasn't allowed to...
No, you didn't.
Yes, we did. We made an agreement with her.
Show me it written down someplace that you had a mileage agreement with her.
It was to keep the value of the car up.
Show me where you have an agreement with her that you have a mileage agreement.
It was a verbal agreement.
Baloney.
Just like the part with the insurance.
Baloney.
Until she got it in her own name or her own insurance, she wasn't
You had no
supposed to have
reason to
anybody
take
in
the car.
it.
Don't speak to me anymore. You had no reason to take the car back. Unfortunately, Miss Miller, you did a very nice thing for your niece.
I thought so.
You probably had second thoughts about it, but you didn't have a basis to breach the agreement and take the car back, her money, or you give her the car back. What's your pleasure?
Can I say something
Sure.
real quick? She assured me that no drinking, no partying, and everything else, and she was drinking, and she was partying, but, you know...
Well, show me proof that she was drinking in the car.
Oh, I can't show you proof.
Drinking and driving.
No.
So?
Okay.
That's what you need. You need proof. Put your hand down. That's what you need. You need proof.
Okay.
Where's the car now?
In my yard.
You want your car back?
Can I speak?
Yes.
The whole drinking thing has nothing to do with it because I didn't do it when I was driving. And the car they gave to her daughter after they took the car from me. After like a week went by and they called me and told me, asked me if I want the car back. And I said no because they already took the car. And after that, I felt like, you know, since they took it from me once, they would do it again.
Did you get another car?
No.
How many miles are on the car now?
There's quite a bit.
What do you mean quite a bit? There was 3,400 miles when you took it. How many miles are on the car
Well, I
now?
drove it back and forth to work myself. And my daughter's driving. Okay.
You owe her $1,600. You had no basis to take the car back.
Can I get her to sign off on this title, or how do I have to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. You can get her to sign off on the title as soon as you get the bank to release her from the loan. Why would I have her sign the title off until you can get her off on the loan?
Okay, I can, yes.
Okay, so we'll cut an order that as soon as you get her off on the loan, she's going to sign off on the title, right?
Yes,
you don't want
ma'am.
the title in your name?
Nope, ma'am.
Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff, the amount of $1,600. Thank you.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Jeremy Bailing says his neighbor, 16-year-old Joey McQueen, attacked him with a crowbar. Joey is countersuing, claiming that he was assaulted by Jeremy's son.
Mr. McQueen, were you present during any of these incidents involving your son and the plaintiff?
No, Your Honor.
You may be seated. How old are you?
16.
You have an older brother?
Yes.
How old is he?
18.
Has he ever been in jail? The answer would be either yes or no. Has he ever been in jail?
No.
Has he ever been arrested?
Yes.
How many times?
Once.
Was the arrest involving the plaintiff?
No.
Involving somebody else?
No.
Involving what?
He got pulled over with drugs in the car.
Was he alone or with other people?
With other people.
Mr. Bailing, the McQueens are neighbors of yours, not next-door neighbors, but they live in the same
neighborhood.
They
live about 4 blocks away, yeah.
And it is your claim that this young man assaulted you?
Yes, he did.
Assaulted you and injured you?
Yes, he did.
This young man says, through his father, that it was self-defense, but his father doesn't know that because his father wasn't there.
Self-defense?
That's what he says. And it's for us to find out. So tell me when this incident occurred.
Happened December 22nd on a Saturday evening. We were having a birthday party for my stepdaughter.
Who was how old?
She would be 14 that day. And she had 5 friends staying the night, having a slumber party.
5 girls?
5 other girls. And there was a couple boys there. They went down to her best friend's Chelsea's house, which is catty corner, half a block away, to get her birthday present. Well, when they come back, him and his buddy tried to run him over in his buddy's car.
Did you see that?
No, my witness seen that.
Step up. Who were you?
I'm Serena's mother. I didn't actually see it. They came running in the house and said...
Don't tell me what they said.
Okay.
Sit down.
Okay.
I'm disregarding that, sir.
Okay.
Nobody saw it.
Okay.
All right. About 9 o'clock, I come out of the house. All the kids are yelling, screaming. Him and his buddies at the end of my driveway with their car, screaming and cussing and yelling at her and all the kids out there.
Go ahead.
When I walked out, there was profanity, especially from him. I walked straight out.
What was he saying?
Calling her a B word, swearing, cussing. I'll beat your butt and...
Step up, please.
And all this.
Just a second. You are the mother of one of the girls.
Yes, ma'am.
And what's her name?
Serena Walker.
And I would assume that Serena came inside and told you something.
It was her boyfriend. Yeah.
Somebody, the Serena, somebody
Yes,
came and
ma'am.
told you something. You came outside.
Yes, ma'am.
You found your way to Mr. Bailing's house?
We live in the same house. This is my fiance.
Got it.
Okay.
So you came out of the house. How did he get there?
His friend named AJ drove him down there.
AJ drive you down there?
Oh, ma'am, I walked up there.
That's a lie.
Shh. Who's AJ?
My cousin.
How old is AJ?
18.
What kind of car does he have?
A white Aurora.
Was he with you that evening?
The girls hollered for him when we
Was he with you that evening?
Yes, ma'am.
How did he get to your house?
Came and drove down there.
In his?
White Aurora.
Do you drive a car?
No, ma'am.
What kind of car was in your driveway?
A white Aurora.
White Aurora.
So that you walked there, but your cousin went there by himself in the car? Is that what you're telling me?
No, the girls hollered for him to come over there.
My question is, you walked there and your cousin drove there. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes.
Did you get there before or after your cousin did?
Before.
And what happened when you got there before your cousin?
I was standing there. And
Standing where?
In front of his driveway.
What were you doing in his driveway?
I was not in his driveway, I was in the road.
What were you doing in the road in front of his driveway?
Because his stepdaughter's boyfriend kept running his mouth every time he was out there.
Just a second. His stepdaughter's boyfriend kept running his mouth.
Yes.
At whom?
At me.
Well, that evening, when had he seen you before?
At Chelsea's house.
What were you doing at Chelsea's house? Were you inside of Chelsea's house?
I was walking down the street.
So, stepdaughter's boyfriend had words with you outside of Chelsea's house?
Yes.
Then what?
And he started coming out to the street.
Towards you, away from you, towards their house, away from their house?
He was coming towards me, and his girlfriend was pushing him back.
Okay. Go ahead.
It continued up to their house.
So they left?
No.
They went to their house?
He was.
Just a second. They went to their house?
And went towards their house.
And?
And he continued running his mouth. And then when we got in front of their house...
Just a second. What do you mean you got in front of their house? What are you following them for?
I don't know.
Somebody's starting up with you by running off with his mouth at you. You're going in the opposite direction. So you turn around and follow him back to the house.
He lives totally the opposite way.
Shh.
Okay.
Do I look like I'm needing help? So you follow them, his stepdaughter and her boyfriend, back to stepdaughter's house. For what purpose?
Try to get him to stop running his mouth to me, because every time
he wouldn't have even heard you if you just kept walking, right?
Right.
Now, when you follow them back to the house, where was the white Aurora?
Across the street from the window. There's a window company right there. It was right in front of it.
You mean your cousin just happened to be there across the street in his white Aurora?
No, the girls that was with me hollered for him.
Well, where was he that she was able to holler for him and he was able to appear? What is he, Batman? Where do you think he was?
He was over at his grandma's house.
And where is that?
Next street over from Arbor.
Well, that's a long street. He must have a very big car. You get where I'm going?
Yes.
Now you're in front of this gentleman's house where you had no business being, and you have your cousin there in the white Aurora. And then what happened?
And Mr. Bentley came out there, and he struck me in my face.
He just came out and struck you?
Yes.
Show me how he did that.
He put his hand in the ball and hit me in my face.
Punched you in the face?
Yes.
And what happened next?
I acted in self-defense and got my cousin's car and got a crowbar.
No, just a second. He punched you in the face.
Yes.
Then you walked across the street, opened the car, got a crowbar.
Yes.
Where was Mr. Bailing when you were getting this crowbar?
In the middle of the street.
He was in the middle of the street.
Yes.
So then you walked back to where he was.
Yes.
And what did you do?
That's when I hit him with it.
Hit him with what?
The crowbar.
Now, if you went over to the car, sir, to the white Aurora, I assume you're going to tell me that your cousin was in the car.
No, he was outside the car.
He was?
Yes.
When did he get outside the car?
After he struck me in the face.
And what did he do when he got outside the car?
He acted like he was going to hit him.
Who acted like he was going to hit whom?
AJ acted like he was going to hit Mr. Bailing.
Tell me what he did to show that he was going to hit him.
Like, jumped at him.
Jumped at him?
Yeah.
Did he jump at him before or after you got the crowbar?
After.
When you went over to the car, you could have gotten in the car, right?
Yes.
And left. You chose not to do that. If I believe that he punched you in the face. You have a... Do you?
Yes.
I'd like to see the police
We also
report,
have
please.
pictures of his head.
I'll get to
What's
that.
your first name?
Joseph.
Joseph. You were arrested for assault.
Yes.
You had a lawyer?
Yes.
Who hired the lawyer for you?
It's my uncle.
Your Honor.
I'm speaking. Your uncle represented you in the case involving the assault. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you went to court and you pled guilty.
Yes.
And when you pled guilty before the judge asked you what happened.
Yes.
And you told the judge what happened.
Yes.
And you were given community service as a punishment, right?
Yes.
Now you can stand up. Now, Mr. McQueen, I'm going to give you an elementary lesson in the law. Your son pled guilty. He pled guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That is tantamount to a conviction. This is a civil court. The quantum of proof, the necessary proof required in this court is much less than that is required in the criminal court. And in the criminal court, it doesn't make any difference whether you went to trial or whether you pled guilty. It's the same, proof beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty. So you are responsible for assaulting Mr. Bailing. If you legitimately felt that your defense of self-defense was a good one, and I'm sure that your uncle, the lawyer, knew that it was not, then you would have gone to trial and maybe been acquitted. You chose not to do that. You chose to plead guilty to the charges, or some of the charges emanating from this incident. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes.
And if you think that I believe half of what you just told me, I'm 5'7" and 42 years old. Thank you for not laughing. Police officer responded to the location on the 22nd, spoke to me. You are Jeremy Bailing?
Yes.
You were bleeding from the head.
Yep.
Bailing stated that two subjects known to him as Jay and Joey had followed his daughter to the front of his driveway. You asked them to leave your property?
Yes, I did.
Bailing stated that he pushed Joey to get him to leave his property. You would be Joey?
Yes.
At which point Joey hit him in the head several times with a crowbar.
6.
Mm-hmm.
He was defending himself, hitting me 6 times.
Can I ask a question, Your Honor?
Mm-hmm.
If it was such a problem, why wasn't the law called in the first place?
Mr. McQueen.
Be adult about it.
Mr. McQueen, you have 2 sons?
2 other sons.
Well, you have one son who was arrested for drugs. You have one son who pled guilty to assault. And the other one?
He's doing good.
He's doing good. These 2 aren't. How many times has AJ been arrested?
I don't know.
How many times has your cousin been arrested?
I don't know.
Any?
Yes.
Sure. So if you wallow around with pigs, you're going to get dirty. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because this report says that this AJ threatened to return with a gun and kill everybody. You're not doing your job, sir. If you have 3 sons and 2 of them have been arrested, and I don't know about the 3rd, but let's just say 2, that means something's not right with your parenting. Now, your son said that this guy made rude comments to him, so he went to Division Street to confront him. Which time Bailing came out to the end of the driveway, hit him, and he said he hit him back 1 time. He didn't say he hit him with a crowbar. What kind of community service did you have to perform?
I had to go to the church and help homeless people.
For how long?
I had to do 10 hours.
And then what happens to your conviction?
He's on it. And then he's got to do teen rap. He's on probation. He took the plea instead of fighting the courts and stuff.
Well, I assume that that was on the advice of his uncle.
You know, it's better than fighting the courts and stuff and going
You fight
through
the
it.
courts if you're innocent.
Right. But go ahead and let him take the plea and go ahead and face the charges.
Good. Fine. You go to school?
Yes.
What do you do after school?
Work out for football.
Are you on the football team?
Yes.
You work out every day for football?
Every day but one.
Sunday?
No, I don't.
Get a job.
I do.
You have?
Yes.
Fabulous. So you can pay your father back. I'd like to see the photographs, please. Has Mr. McQueen seen the photographs?
I gave them to the prosecuting attorney, so I'm sure they've seen it in the other court matter.
I
Did
have
you?
it, Your Honor.
You have not?
No.
Well, I'm just going to show you the one in his head. Would you give this to Mr. McQueen, please?
Yeah, I still have a scar for that one in the head right here.
Got to watch him. On the complaint, the court is awarding the plaintiff $2,500. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. The counterclaim is dismissed without prejudice because there are no witnesses here. That's all. Thank you.
Brandon Book says his mother, Mary Nixon, owes for a title loan on a car and for a loan to pay court fines.
Mr. Book, the defendant is your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
And your complaint alleges that she owes you some money.
Yes, ma'am.
One from a loan, the other from another loan that you took out against your car in order to buy your mother a car.
Yes, ma'am.
Car that she ultimately surrendered, owing money on it, and you're paying a substantial amount of money for the time that she, in fact, had the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Your mother says that while she acknowledges that you did some nice things for her, she said that all of that were gifts that you made to her, and she is counterclaiming, she alleges that you gave away some property that belonged to her deceased husband, who was not your father. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And also a wedding ring that she wants back. Okay, so tell me about the first loan, sir.
The first loan was for down payment for her car. She came to me on April 27th of '07, and she asked me if she could go get a car. I took her to a local dealership where her credit qualified her for a car. However, she didn't make enough money to support a car. So they asked me if I would sign for it. The agreement was that she made the payments, and I agreed to it, and so I co-signed for her. However, they needed a down payment. So they asked me if my truck was paid for, and I said yes, it was. So we went to a local financial institution, and they took out the title loan for $2,500. Plus
a title loan?
Yes, ma'am.
Which means that your truck was now encumbered?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And they asked for an additional $200 deposit for the insurance. So while we were doing the agreement, we were signing all the paperwork. My mother looked at me and she asked me if this was okay. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, I will pay you back as soon as I get my VA benefits. I said, yes, ma'am, that's not a problem.
What VA benefits?
When her husband passed away, we went to the local Veterans Affairs office in Lake Charles, and they said that she qualified for some death benefits. So they put all the paperwork in, and they said that she was going to be awarded it.
Did they say how much she would be
No,
getting?
ma'am, they didn't say how much. They gave us like a monthly statement of what she would get. If she got the full amount, $7 a month. If she got the other one, it was like $6.11 a month.
And how much were the car payments a month?
The car payments were $371.
Okay. So you took out this title insurance, and what happened?
What happened is 2 weeks after she got the car, she lost her job. So I had to figure out some way of having to pay it, both my loan, her loan, and supporting everybody, because her and my sister were living in the house along with my wife and my child.
So you have a wife?
Yes, ma'am.
Child, your mother, and sister were living with you?
And at one time we had my other sister and her 2 kids living with us as well.
And who was supporting them?
I was.
It's outrageous.
It's family.
Good boy. What are you saying no for?
Because it's lies.
Well, come up here and tell me what's the lie about it. First, tell me your first name.
My first name is Mary. My last name is Book.
Very good. Uncross your arms. Is it a lie that you lived with your brother?
No, that's not a lie.
Is it a lie that he helped support you?
No, that's not a lie either.
Well, that's what he said.
No, he said that he co-signed for the car, which is a lie.
Listen to me. I'm not talking about the car. You said that's a lie. She lived with him. You lived with him. Your other sister, for a period of time, lived with him, and her 2 children. And he was supporting you, because I assume you weren't working. Is that right?
That's right.
Why weren't you working?
Because I had no way to work. Because he got my car, and so my mom took sell my car to buy him the house.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I have the check.
Just a second.
They sold my car for $6,000, and that got the down payment to the trailer that he now lives in.
Okay, and when was that?
This was October of last year.
How long did you live in the trailer where he and his wife and child are living?
They got the trailer in October.
Right.
I moved out in December with my sister.
So you lived there 3 months?
Yes, ma'am.
Then she came back.
Did you come back?
I moved in to an apartment.
Did you come back?
Later.
When?
March or June.
Was it March or June? Those are very different months.
April, March, somewhere in between there.
And how long did you stay? Until when?
I moved out in March again, and I didn't come back until May. And then I moved in back in May, and then we moved out for good in June.
So you lived there about 6 months altogether. And how long did your mother live there?
The whole time. From October to June.
Oh, then of course you gave him money for the trailer. Did you give him any other money when you lived there?
I gave him some money after the check came in. I paid 2 house notes. I paid a light bill.
So you had a house note?
Yes, ma'am.
In addition to the deposit on the trailer?
Yes, ma'am.
Of course. So, other than that, she gave him money because she had you, she had your other sister, she had herself, her sister's 2 children. They lived with him. He's paying a house note, and she gave him a $6,000 deposit on the trailer. Now you can sit down. That's what you're supposed to do. If you and your whole family want to move in with your son and you gave him a $6,000 deposit on a trailer and he's making the house payments on it for you and your family to live in, that's what you're supposed to do.
But, Your Honor, I moved my mobile home I was living in for 14 years off of my property for him to put his mobile home there.
So what?
He told me he would never, ever say anything about me not working. He did not mind me living there because I did this for him.
And I'm telling you, he's not supposed to say that to you. You moved your whole family into the trailer that he was making the payments on. You lived there from October until June. She lived there for 6 months. Your other daughter and her 2 children lived there for 6 months. Who do you expect to pay for that? Every adult pays rent. You're a grown-up. So if you gave him $6,000 at the beginning of your stay, instead of making periodic payments, then what difference does it make? Look at it that way. But don't make yourself a victim. You're not a victim. Children don't support their 46-year-old parents. Parents support their children. How much money did it cost you when your mother surrendered this truck?
It was the car that she had to surrender, Your Honor. It didn't cost me anything. I tried to tell her about it. I went to her work with this document right here showing that if she surrenders the car, that they would give us a 0 deficiency on an auto loan. So I approached her at work with this, and when I approached her at work, she got really defensive about it. And when I told her, I said, look, all you got to do is just surrender the car. They'll give you a 0 deficiency. We don't owe anything, but they don't owe us. We don't owe them. It's like it never happened. She refused. She immediately responded back saying that that's it. You have 10 days to get that trailer off my land, and I'm cutting your lights off.
So tell me what happened with the car. Did you surrender the car?
Yes, I did.
When?
The next Wednesday.
So what money are you out, Mr. Book?
The title loan on my vehicle. Well, in order to get her car, we had to put a down payment. That's where the title loan on my vehicle came on for her car.
I see. And the title loan was for how much?
$2,500.
So that you're not out any money for the loan, but you are out money for the title loan.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you actually took that money and put it down as a down payment. That's why you had no money that was owing if she turned the car in.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand. All right, now I'm ready to hear you, Miss Nixon. He's out $2,500 because you couldn't make the payments on the car.
Okay, whenever I got the car, he came, woke me up one morning and said, Mama, you want a car? And I'm like, well, I would like one, but I can wait for my money to come in. Because I didn't want a car note, really, because I really didn't make enough for a car note and insurance and everything else. So I said, I'll wait. And he goes, well, Mom, I got him on the phone. He wants to talk to you. And I'm like, Brandon, I don't want a car right now.
That's not true.
It would be nice to have a car.
Just a second. You know what happens, unfortunately, Miss Nixon, to some people when they're telling a lie? They get blotches on their chest.
I know, I just get nervous.
No. A man that's supporting a wife and child and supporting a sister and another sister and 2 children and a mother who I'm sure doesn't make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, doesn't come in and twist his mother's arm to get a car. Baloney. You're not supposed to put your children in debt because you don't work. That's not what mothers are supposed to do.
I did not want the car. I told him I would wait.
Then you shouldn't have taken it. You're 46 years old.
He went to the car dealership
without
and said,
you.
I'm going to...
Just a second. Without you?
He went with me.
Did he drag you there? Miss Nixon, did he drag you there?
No, he said he wanted to go pick out him something.
Miss Nixon, you are so full of baloney. You owe him $2,400 first for that. What else does she owe you for, sir?
whenever she was in Washington State. She was supposed to be gone for only a week and a half. She had 2 jobs, working at Walmart and working at Sears. She went to Washington on a one-way ticket to see my friend, and she was gone.
What was she doing seeing your friend?
They were talking on MySpace kind of thing, and
so a boyfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
She was grieving and went to see a boyfriend. How long was she gone?
She was gone for 3 months.
3 months. This was, I assume, before she got the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
And I was contacted by a Sergeant Mouton of the Calvert Parish Sheriff's Department looking for her. I was then like, what does she do now? So I call her, tell her what's going on. Apparently she had had some checks that she had written back $6.97 for very little, like $25, $30, however they just caught up with her. And they were looking for her to satisfy those checks. Then when she came back, I still supported her, tried to get her through the hard times. She just didn't take the hint, and I was getting just really tired of it.
How much money did it take to clear the checks?
$150.
Did you tell your mother about it?
Yes, ma'am.
Who cleared the checks, you or your mother?
I did.
Where was she when you cleared the checks?
Being arrested at the time.
Is that right?
Well, not exactly. Like, I'm,
She's not a horrible mother.
No.
Did he pay $150 to
From
get you
selling
out?
the cabinets that he sold out of my house. I was upset at him. He gave away everything.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Everything in my house. He gave away my cabinets.
Just a second. Give me the month and year he gave
February.
away. February of what year?
Of this year.
And when did you move out of the trailer?
I moved out in July.
You couldn't have been that upset.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not going to disown my child. I'm not going to do that to him.
You couldn't have been that upset. If he gave away the stuff in February, you didn't sue him. March, you didn't sue him. April, you didn't sue him. May, you didn't sue him. June, you didn't sue him. July, you didn't sue him. August, you didn't sue him. September, you didn't sue him. So if he gave away your stuff, he gave away your stuff. What's next?
The ring.
Whose ring is it?
Mine.
It's actually ours.
No, it's mine.
Well, how did his wife end up with the ring?
I told her and him that I would let them use my ring as a token of because it was special to me.
Just a minute, you told them that you would let them use their ring?
Until he could buy one for her. And if they broke up and she moved out, that I was to get the ring. Yes, ma'am, I'm honored.
Fine. Well, first of all, A, I don't believe you, because I think that that's a lot of baloney that you just told me. But B, even if what you told me was true, let's see what you just said. You said you are letting them use the ring until he can buy her a new one, which he can't. Or until they break up, which they have not. Or if she moves out, which she has not.
But she did in between this time.
Oh, tell me when.
She moved out.
Just tell me when.
She moved out during the summertime.
Did you sue her then?
No, I didn't.
Goodbye, Miss Nixon. You got a problem. You owe your son $2,550. Judgment for the plaintiff. Your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Isla Wiley says her former roommate, Paris Scott, owes for unpaid rent and utilities and car damage. Paris claims she was a guest in Isla's home, but never a roommate.
Please.
Miss Wiley, according to your complaint, the defendant was a friend of yours. She ran into some difficulty. You allowed her to move into your apartment. You claim that the agreement was that she would pay you rent. She did not pay you rent or her share of the utilities, which was also part of your agreement, and you want her to pay you for that. According to you, prior to that, she had borrowed your car, took it to a party, and it came back damaged. You want her to pay for the car damage. Ms. Scott says that there was never a rental agreement between the two of you. You were doing something to be kind to her, and that you only became angry with her when she had some sort of a private conversation with your boyfriend and told him some things that were very personal that she knew about you. You became angry, told her to leave, and then concocted the story about rent. And she would like her personal property back. You indicate that you do have her personal property, and that personal property she's going to get within 5 days of today. She can come either with a marshal or by herself to retrieve her property. Please have it ready for her. So I've taken care of your counterclaim.
Okay.
Understood?
Yes.
Good. Now, let's take care of your claim. How long do you know each other?
About 5-6 years.
And when did she move into your apartment?
February 2009.
Where was she working at the time?
Forever 21.
How long has she been working there?
I'm not for sure. Maybe about a few months, 3 or 4 months prior.
And who had you been living with before?
Me, I've always lived by myself.
Perfect. That's the way you should keep it, Miss Wiley. I mean, as far as roommates are concerned, you can certainly meet somebody and decide to set up housekeeping. But as far as taking in a roommate, it's always a problem. What made you open your house to her?
I've known her for a long time. I thought she was a good friend. She didn't have a lot of friends because of run-ins that she's had with her other friends. And then on top of that, she was always coming to my house. She was always crying. She was always upset because she had got into an argument, or she was fighting with her dad, or, you know, they were having disagreements. So it was total drama. And I told her that, you know, my house is always open if you want to come stay here. So then she asked me, like, how much would it be if I rented? And I told her you would have to pay half rent, which would be about $850 or more a month, including utilities. And she said that would be perfectly fine because she's working, and then that on top of that, you know, her mother and her father would help her with rent. So I told her that would be okay, and so I allowed her to start, you know, slowly and gradually moving her things in.
How many bedrooms do you have?
It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
So she moved into one of the bedrooms?
Yes.
In February. And when did she leave?
She left in May when I told her to move her things.
You were working all that time?
Yes, I was.
Why didn't you pay her rent?
Because we never had an agreement to pay
Well,
rent.
why would she take care of you? You moved into her apartment, you had your own bedroom, you have your own bathroom. Why wouldn't you pay her rent?
Because the only time that I came to stay with her, my father did have problems.
I don't care what the reason is. How old are you?
I'm 21.
Well, 21 years old.
And
you
I
have
was
a
still
job.
living with my family.
You have a job. Are you telling me you didn't live with her?
I stayed with her from time to time. I didn't live with her for a constant, like, month after month.
I'm sorry, she did live with me.
I did stay with her, and I would go home or stay with someone else.
Hey, your problem is you don't have a mind, because if you had a mind, you would remember what you signed, which was your sworn statement. You want me to read it to you?
You can if you want.
We never once had a conversation about rent prior to me moving in. In April, my family was evicted from their place and was scrambling to find a new home. She allowed my family also to store new things in her apartment. Although I stayed there part of the time, I did bounce from place to place.
Yes. I never moved in permanently. She let me stay there.
Give me the name of the people that you bounced to.
My witness, Latice, and then I went back home with my family.
Last name?
Hampton.
When did she stay with you?
She started staying at my house in May, the beginning of May.
May?
Yes.
Thank you. You may sit down. We're not interested in May. We're interested in February, March, and April.
I never moved in February. I was still at home. She doesn't have a specific date that I moved in.
What stuff do you have in her house that you're counterclaiming for?
I do have a suitcase of clothes.
So you have clothes?
Yes.
What else do you have? You said you have my personal...
Like, in the suitcase, I have, like, a mirror that my sister bought me for Christmas. The suitcase is stuff that we were packing up from the house that my family had to move out of. That's why that suitcase is there. I do have clothes there when I would stay with her. That's the other stuff.
I want to know where else you would bounce to. You said you bounced.
I would go back home. I would go back home and stay with my family.
They were evicted in April.
No, they weren't.
Yes, you said my family was evicted in April.
Not in April, because we just moved out.
In April 2009, my family was evicted from their place.
I never said in April that...
Would you show this to her, please? That's your statement. That's your signature at the bottom.
I know what it says.
So is it wrong?
My family did not get evicted in April. They were still at their house.
So I'm asking you a question. When you wrote that down and swore to it, it was wrong.
Yes, the date is wrong.
Give it back to me. How much rent did you pay your family?
I never paid rent for my family.
Well, you got to pay somebody rent, madam.
I never moved in. We never had an agreement.
You got to pay somebody rent where you're living.
If we had an agreement, yes, I would pay rent. If I never signed anything...
You don't have to sign anything. If we signed it, then I'd be out of a job. Signed it makes it easy.
So
now, let us say I believe you, which I don't, that you weren't there all the time, you didn't live there, you never formally moved in, you never signed anything, whatever else it was. Then she was just being nice to you, right?
Because she was my friend.
She was being nice to you, right?
Yes.
You explain to me why you gossiped behind her back to her boyfriend?
I did not gossip behind her back.
Really?
Her boyfriend texted me when she left for her cruise to Mexico. He texted me and asked, can I talk to you because I have issues with my girlfriend, Isla. I never responded back to him.
You never respond, so you never had any conversation with him?
No.
No, so just a second. So you never, well, then you must be wrong that you never had any conversation with him.
She is wrong.
You want me to call him and find out?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
The only time me and him talked was the night we were going out. All of us. And he asked me, Paris, I have a feeling that something's going on. And I told him, if you really believe something is going on, why don't you guys take a break so you can figure out your thing and she can figure out hers. She has been having issues with her boyfriend.
Jealous.
Yeah.
She's jealous.
Exactly.
Right. Did she have an arrangement with you to pay rent?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
Yeah, I believe she did too. When did she move in February?
She moved in actually 2 days after Valentine's Day, so I'd say the 16th.
So we're going to discount February. We're going to go right to March and April.
Yes, ma'am.
Those 2 months. And your total rent is what?
I would say $850.
Okay, so she was supposed to pay $4 1/4?
Yes, ma'am.
Now tell me about the car.
Well...
Make sure I get it right. Do you understand?
Yes. Okay, well, the night before, she drove my car. She had to rent a car because she did not have a vehicle. She went down to the club, and I guess she had the windows busted out. Somebody busted out the windows and stole her belongings.
In the rental car?
In her rental car, yes.
What did they steal?
They stole my purse.
You left your purse in the rental car?
In the trunk, yes.
Go ahead.
So then, with the rest of her problems that she always had, she came to me crying, saying that somebody stole her things, she had nothing, and that she needed to use my vehicle. Because every excuse with using my vehicle was, my family doesn't have food, my family doesn't have money, my sister's left at school, my brother's left here, my brother's left here, can you please let me use your vehicle? So she always used my vehicle. So she got her windows busted or whatever, so the very next night, she wanted to go downtown, and I said, you could use my car. Please be careful.
And? Right.
So she came back with the vehicle. She actually came back with her boyfriend, and they got off the car, and I came outside, and I'm like, what happened to my car? She goes, what do you mean, what happened to my car? I'm like, my car is keyed. And it's really obvious. You could see it at night. The whole car was keyed. Somebody ran the whole key through it all around the frame, everything. And then somebody even kicked it in. Then she told me, oh, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, but I'll help you fix it, or I'll fix it.
Just a second. Did anybody that you know see what happened to the car?
No.
Okay, so what happened to the car was a criminal act.
Correct.
And she had your permission to drive the car.
Yes, ma'am.
She's not responsible for it.
Okay.
She's not responsible for someone else's criminal acts that are done to your car if she had the car with your permission. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. But she certainly owes you for rent. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $850. Make arrangements to pick up your suitcase within 5 days.
Okay.
Understood?
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Please excuse me. Step out.
April Franks is suing Angela and Jean Roberts for the return of money she paid for a female Yorkie poo. April says the couple sold her an emotionally damaged animal.
Bert, would you please take the Roberts' little girl outside, please?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Come with me.
Miss Franks, you purchased a dog, I assume this dog, from the defendants.
Yes.
You called them within 24 hours telling them that the dog had some problems. You wanted to return the dog. You ultimately did return the dog. You want your money back.
Yes.
The Roberts seem to believe that they had no responsibility with regard to the dog's condition that you found that was intolerable for you. And they said that they sold the dog, I assume, as is. This is what you get. Mrs. Roberts?
From a breeder in Tupelo.
A breeder?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
It was the end of November, 2007.
Do you have the date?
Not the exact date.
Was it after Thanksgiving?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's give it a date of the 28th of November. And I assume you bought the dog because you have one young child?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she go with you to the breeder?
No, ma'am.
You and your husband went?
Just my husband.
You went?
Yes, ma'am.
How many dogs did the breeder have for sale?
I have no idea how many he had to sell. I think 2. And this is the
How
one
many did you see?
I met him in a town in between where we lived, and he just brought Carly here.
So you didn't go to the breeder's house?
No, ma'am.
So you don't know where he got the dog from?
No, ma'am.
Did you find this person on the internet?
No, in an ad in the Trade Winds paper, a sales paper that we have in our area.
And he told you he had a dog?
Right.
And don't come to my house, I'll meet you halfway, or I'll meet you someplace.
Right.
And they gave you the dog. Did he tell you how old the dog was?
Yes, ma'am.
How old did he say?
At the time, she was 18 months.
And how much did you pay for this 18-month-old dog?
$200.
Did he say why he was selling an 18-month-old dog?
No, he didn't.
Did you discuss this with your wife before you went?
I spoke to the gentleman on the phone about her.
And what did the gentleman, I'm just curious, so even though I'm not taking this for the truth of it, I'd like to know what the gentleman told you about this dog.
He told me that he had 31 dogs, and he was trying to downsize on some of his dogs, and that she had already been bred once, and she had 6 puppies at the time, and he thought it was too many for her, and he was going to sell her and her sister. And he was originally trying to sell both of the dogs, her and her sister. I do not know anything about the other dog. And I told him that we were only interested in buying 1 dog instead of 2, and he said that he would split them up and sell her to us. And we did discuss whether to come to his house or not, but he decided that he
didn't want you at the house if it's in fact true that he had 31 dogs.
Probably.
Probably. Did he want cash or a check?
We just gave him cash. That's all we had.
Of course. So you gave him cash, and then you bring the dog home, and what happened, Miss Roberts?
She was a nervous dog. She shook for probably the first month we owned her.
1 month she shook?
Yes, ma'am. And after about a month, when we were around her, she stopped shaking. But the only thing that she ever did the entire time we've ever had her is just sit in your lap. Even after sitting in your lap for a long period of time, she wouldn't indicate that she would want to get down and go eat. We'd have to take her back there to the room we keep her in at night, and she'd eat and take care of her business, and then after that she would scratch on the door, give a little bit of a whining whimper, and want to come out and sit back in your lap again. We tried to get her to play because we did buy her for my 9-year-old. She wanted a little dog to play with. And she's just not a playful dog. She's just a lap dog. So
she's probably from a puppy mill.
Well, when we took her to the vet, that's what he said. He said that either being in a kennel, he said either being in a kennel,
caged in a kennel, and probably came from a puppy mill.
Yes.
So what did you do?
Well, we held on to her for a little bit longer, hoping that maybe she would come out of her shell a little bit and play. And when we were convinced after about 3 months of owning her, she was not ever going to be the playful dog for our daughter
that we thought. So now she's almost 2 years old.
Yes, ma'am. And after that, we decided that what we would do was try to sell her so that we could take that money and buy a playful puppy for my child.
So you put an ad in the paper?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did the ad say?
It's right here.
What does it say?
Says, CKC Yorkie Poo female, small dog, approximately 1.5 years old, 5 to 6 pounds, good health, mostly house trained, 400. Call my husband and our phone number listed.
That's not the ad that I responded to.
Can I see the ad that you responded
to? Yes, it's right here. It's highlighted in pink. I was in Columbus only.
Shh. Yorkie Poo, CKC, I don't know what that means because they're not AKC registered because she's a mixed breed.
Yes, ma'am. It's Continental Kennel Club.
Approximately 1 year old.
Which she's approximately.
Shh. Do I look like I'm needing help from you?
No.
Approximately 1 year old, mostly housebroken, good health, small, 5 to 6 pounds, $400. Ask for Jean. Is that you?
That's my husband.
That's you. Well, that's the ad. Trade Winds Classified.
This one is the Trading Post. We did take one out in the Trading Post and the Trade Winds.
This is the one she responded to. So immediately your ad is wrong because the dog was not a year old.
I guess so.
And you were asking for this dog that is now older and you know has certain problems twice as much as what you paid for it.
Correct.
Okay. So you came to the house and?
I went to their house. Carly was sitting in a recliner. She didn't get up or anything when I walked in. She got her and she put on the ground on the floor and she walked around and I oohed and awed over for a few minutes. She was shaking and Angie told me it was because, you know, she didn't like strangers is what she said. And so, you know, I said, okay, you know, that could be possible. And I petted her and picked her up and I said that I wanted to get her. And so I left her house. I went to the ATM machine and I withdrew $400 and I went right back and I gave her the money when I got back. She had the CKC certification paper, her pamper pads because she's not housebroken or mostly at all, and a doggy soap.
Just 1 second. Are you telling me that you had this dog for 3 months and the dog wasn't housebroken?
She's puppy pad trained, which I consider mostly housebroken because she only goes on the puppy pads. No. It's probably one of the reasons that you wanted out of the dog. Because the dog was a puppy mill dog. The dog was not used to being in a house and being let out. Yeah, sure it is. Okay, you returned the dog when?
That evening after I left, I went to Walmart and I bought food for her. I bought her a bed and some toys. And, you know, the night progressed and she just wasn't acting like I thought she would act. I'm not a professional. So the next morning, I said the best thing I'm going to do is take Carly to the vet. So I took her to the vet, which the office where Amy works, and the vet examined the dog, and I have an animal report here.
I'd like to see it, please.
Voice.
On February 26, 2008, I examined the above-listed animal because of a complaint of severe emotional issues. The animal would crouch down in the corner and urinate all over itself when touched. It was my opinion that the animal was experiencing fear, anxiety, and the owner would be better off returning the animal to the previous owner. Animals exhibiting such fear, anxiety have special needs that the average pet owner usually is unable to give.
The time we took the dog to the vet was after the fact that April returned her.
They just took the dog to the vet.
Shh. You mean you never took the dog to the vet when you got her?
She never urinated on herself or crouched down in
I'm
the corner.
just asking you why you never took the dog to the vet.
No, ma'am.
Have either of you ever had pets before?
We have quite a few.
Well, then you knew that this dog's behavior was most unusual.
I was told by several other people, we've never had a small dog like this before.
Right. You have to give her money back. Stop nonsense. You try to unload the dog on somebody else for twice as much as what you paid for it. I mean, usually when a breeder wants to unload an 18-month-old or a 19-month-old dog, they usually give them away to try to find good homes. This guy found a sucker who was willing to pay $200 for it. That doesn't mean that you, when you have the dog, I mean, you're supposed to be reputable people. I don't know about this person who's running a puppy mill, but you're supposed to be reputable people. That means that you got, I'm going to find somebody else to stick with this dog and charge him twice as much.
Right.
That's outrageous. You have the dog? Give her back the papers, please. You owe her $400. That's all.
Damian Ibarra says that foster aunt and uncle, Martha and Juan Hernandez, scammed him for over $4,000.
Mr. Ibarra, how old are you, sir?
22.
And what kind of work do you do?
I'm actually disabled right now, but I'm an EMT.
When was the last time you worked, Mr. Ibarra?
11/8 of 07.
And what kind of work were you doing then?
I was working on an ambulance as an EMT.
Did you become disabled on your job?
Yes.
Your lawsuit alleges that these people, who you refer to as a foster aunt and uncle, borrowed money from you and did not return it. Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez say that the money that they acknowledged that they took from you was for rent that you owed them. So can you tell me, Mr. Ibarra, how you know these people?
Basically, my foster parents, who I grew up with off and on, these are their cousins, basically. Well, you know, this is...
So you knew them through your foster parents?
Yes, I did.
How old were you when you left your foster parents' home?
I was about 16 years old.
Did you ever live with Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez?
Yes.
When?
Between January and February of 2008 for 2 months.
And where did you go after you left them?
I moved in with Elsie Vergara here.
And who is she?
She's basically my landlord.
So you moved into her home?
Yes.
And where were you living prior to January of 08?
I was living in South Central Los Angeles.
With whom?
By myself.
Okay. Tell me about the money that you gave to Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez.
Okay. First of all, there was $1,936 that I had sent in. At the time, I didn't have an account of my own because I messed up. I had problems. And I had it sent into their business account.
What sent into their
my tax refund.
And when was that put in their account?
That was put in April, I believe April 14th.
All right, let's get to that money, Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez. You acknowledge your account in April.
Yes.
What was it put into your account for?
To pay that rent that he owed me from December through April.
He didn't live with you in April.
He did.
No, he didn't. He didn't live with you in April.
He did live in April with me, Judge Judy.
Really?
None of that is true.
Yes. He moved in the middle of June to his friend's house.
And how much rent were you charging him?
Actually, he's supposed to rent a room for $480, but he only paid me partial rent, which was $300 even, and paid me until February the other part of the money. It was $180 that he paid me.
Not true.
But in December, when I went to check the house, he was living in the master room, and I don't know why, because he just moved in without my authorization. He didn't pay me, and he stayed there since. until June, the middle of June.
None of that is true, ma'am.
Stand up, please. Tell me your name.
Not one word of it.
My name is Elsie Vergara. I'm his landlord. He's living in my house right now.
When did he move into your house?
He moved in February 2008, the 28th to be exact. And I had the contract for that also.
You have the contract?
Yes.
I'd like to see it, please.
Take that out. Right here. And all the check stubs and every single payment he has made since then is also there.
You have any proof that he lived in your house in April, May, and June?
Actually, I have only my papers because he is a family. I will never give him anything.
My question is, do you have any proof that he lived in your house April, May, and June?
No.
Well, then you owe him $1,936 so far. What other money did you give them?
After this, I mean, I was very angry. I'm going to get to it quick, by the way. I just need to tell you a little something. I was very angry, of course, because they did this without my authorization. They took out my money, and I was calling the IRS constantly, asking where my return was, and they were telling me that I should have received it.
I got you.
And anyways,
they used your money,
right, but
without permission.
They
shouldn't have.
They came to me later on asking me for more money so that they can finish a $16,000 job that they said they were going to do, and that they were going to pay me all of my money with interest if I lent them $3,000 more.
Now, where would you get this money from?
I have a copy here of my scholarship that I cashed, and I paid to them. I know it's very stupid of me to do this, but they came to me.
Can I see the proof of that, please?
They came to me asking for this money to finish the job, to pay me the money.
Why did you go to him asking him for more money?
I didn't ask him for no money. He's lying, Your Honor. He's a liar.
Just
he's
one
a
second.
liar.
Just
okay?
a second. Up is what you're telling me that you never took, because I have check with your signature on it. Are you telling me that you never took any other money from him to complete a job other than the tax return? Are you telling me that you never took any other money from him?
I never took any money from him, Your Honor. He's lying. He's making all this because he wants money. He lives from people.
Just a second.
He's been faking what he has.
Hey.
That's a lie, man, but I also have here bank statements.
I want you just to show me a check.
That's just the check that I cashed for my scholarship, man.
Okay.
And,
show me where you gave them money.
okay.
It's over there.
Oh,
no,
sure.
this just says withdrawal.
Right. This is all I have. I have documentation of all of it.
No, you don't have documentation of anything.
Well, I have it all documented down every time because they refused to sign a contract because it was family, they were saying.
Mr. Ibarra, I can't help you with that, sir. You have different withdrawals on different dates, $200.
Those are all, I'm sorry, man.
All I want you to do is show me proof that you gave them any of this other money. The ninth, definitely yours. But you show me that you gave them any other money. This is not proof.
I don't.
Well, then how am I supposed to make that determination?
You know what, ma'am? She was present for every time they came over to ask for money.
What?
And that I gave them money.
That's a lie.
She was present there because she didn't trust them in her house.
Oh, my God.
And even when the contract was made between me and them, well, the verbal contract between me and them, and I had told them flat out, I was very, very mad that I didn't want to give them one more penny because they had already stolen my money for my taxes. They were begging me, saying they were going to get a $16,000 job and that they were going to pay me with interest, and that to just lend them $3,000 more because they knew, them being family and us being close at the time, that I had
weren't close at the time. They had already taken your money.
But they had already known because of their other family that I had gotten my scholarships and everything. So they came over asking for that, and I told them I'll see what I can do.
Mr. Ibarra, you have a problem, sir. Now, you had a bank account, and all you had to do was give them checks. Then we would have no problem. You didn't do that.
They needed the money immediately.
No. Sorry. I don't buy it. Mr. Ibarra.
I mean, I'm not lying to you,
Put your hand down.
honestly. I don't even pay her with checks. I pay with cash.
Mr. Ibarra, you're a very smart young man. These are people who, according to you, had already scammed you, correct?
Yes.
Well,
I was stupid. I mean, they were my family, close. To be honest with you, man,
once family scams you, did you ever hear the expression, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me?
Right.
Right.
Can I just have 1 second, man, please? When I relent them the money, it was right after the time that they had taken the taxes, and I was still contacting the IRS for quite some time, which I have documented here, and they were telling me that to give it a little more time, that sometimes these things take time.
When were you finally notified by IRS? Just a second. When were you notified by IRS that your refund check into their account?
To be honest with you, ma'am, they never notified me that they took the money out.
When did IRS notify you?
This was at about...
Give me the month.
This was in June, the same month that I began lending.
You have withdrawals made in June 30th,
yes.
June 25th, July 7th, and July 8th.
Yes.
So you already knew that they had appropriated your money.
It was right after that.
I can't help you, Mr. Ibarra, with regard to the other money.
1 second, man, please, please. I mean, they were giving me the runaround, telling me they hadn't got it, they hadn't got it, they hadn't got it. And when I finally found out that they had got it, because the IRS finally told me in June.
Well, I got that. That's
right.
Exactly
When they finally told me all of that was when I already had begun lending them the money, and I kind of felt like I'm not going to get any of my money. I got to at least lend them it to do the job so that they can pay me.
And you're telling me that after all of that, you gave them more money, knowing they had lied, scammed you, just as lied, scammed you, stolen your money, and with this very, very careful lady there, you gave them more money. Because most of the money... Yes, you did. That's what it says here.
Not yet. I didn't know those things yet.
Yes, you did, according to you.
No.
Mr.
If you
Ibarra,
have there, I started withdrawing it in June 23rd.
Mr. Ibarra, I cannot help you with that money.
Ma'am, please, 1 second. Let me explain myself a little bit further.
You explained yourself,
No,
Mr.
seriously,
Ibarra.
honestly. I mean...
You explained yourself,
the whole thing
Mr.
is, though, I have not explained myself. The whole thing is that they were very, very close to me. They're the only family I have left, and I didn't want to lose them, okay? So I was being very, very naive. She was trying to knock some sense into me, and I really, really believed that they were paying me. They told me no later than the next month, and so I was lending them the more money because I figured if they didn't have the money, because they do cabinetry, I have seen them do $20,000 jobs, and so it didn't seem far-fetched to me at all.
You want to answer him, Ms. Hernandez? Don't look at paper. You want to answer him?
He's lying all this time. He's lying. We didn't owe him a single dime.
No, I didn't ask you whether you owed him a single dime. I asked you whether he gave you any money in June or July.
He didn't give me no money at all. He owes me money because he came to my husband asking for money 3 times.
When?
In January, he came and asked him money. And in February, he only gave me partial rent.
Never. I'm not talking about rent. Forget about rent. Stop playing with rent. I asked you very simply, did he give you any money?
He didn't give me
Who are you?
Her daughter.
Get up. Over there. Did Mr. Ibarra give your parents any money in June or July of 2008 that you know about?
No.
Sit. You, up. What kind of work do you do?
Cabinets.
How are you related to him?
That's my dad.
Good. Stand there. How long have you been working for your father?
I've been working off and on because I travel a lot.
How long have you been working for your father?
Since 2003.
Very good. In 2008, did your family have a very big cabinet job? Look at me. 2008, did your family have a very big cabinet job?
No.
Nothing in 2008.
They did have, but not a big one.
What kind of cabinet job did they have in 2008?
Well, we got stuck with the same job because of construction change of order.
Explain that to me.
During the process.
What process?
Because I guess the inspector didn't pass the job, and we were stuck with all the merchandise inside the shop.
What merchandise?
The owner's merchandise, the one we were working for.
So the job that you did was not passed by the inspectors?
Mm-hmm. Lies.
Hey! I'm going to dismiss your case. Do you understand? The job that your father did not pass inspection, and you were stuck with what merchandise?
Well, our job wasn't even done yet because the other job before that one wasn't done yet. So.
Oh, so that you couldn't use because the other part of the job didn't pass inspection. Is that what happened, Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
So you had all this cabinetry that you had to pay for. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm speaking to you. Answer.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much was that cabinetry? Look at me. How much was it?
It was during the whole year. It was.
No, in the middle of the year, around June.
I wasn't there around June. I left.
When?
I left around that time.
Then right before you left. How much did they owe on the cabinets?
We didn't owe nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing.
So then explain what the financial problem was.
The job was frozen, and so I left to go do a job in Arizona. I came back, and...
So there was no work for you?
No.
You left because there
that was frozen.
You left in June. Put your hand down. I'm getting there. Shut up. You left in June because there was no work for you with your father. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So your father wasn't working either. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Now you can sit. Now I believe you. Sit! You didn't have to say a thing. But now I'll ask you. Now it makes my job much easier to believe you. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Very good. Were you ever present when he gave them money?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I have to know.
That's a lie. That's a lie, Your Honor.
No, you're a liar. No, you're a liar.
I have my papers here.
I'm telling you, you're a liar. He just explained to me what happened and why you needed the money in June. Your son just explained it to me.
I didn't need no money,
Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,800.
I didn't present my evidence. You didn't present them.
Please excuse me, step out.
Carolyn Kruger is suing her brother, Kevin Perks, for his share of their mother's funeral. Carolyn says Kevin is the only sibling who refuses to pay.
Miss Kruger, Mr. Perks is your brother.
Yes, he is.
And your claim is that he is responsible for a portion of your mother's funeral expenses.
That's correct.
Mr. Perks says he is not responsible for any portion of your mother's funeral expenses. When did your mother pass away?
April 22nd, 2007.
And it is my understanding that her primary asset was a life insurance policy. Is that correct? Did she have any other assets other than this life insurance policy?
She had a few $100s in a bank account that I used to pay for the nursing home.
Other than the life insurance policy, did she have a home? Did she have a car?
No.
Did she have bonds? Anything else?
No.
Life insurance policy?
Yes.
And how much was the life insurance policy?
I don't know the total amount. We each got a portion of it. Was $2,082.74 a piece times 8, so a little over $17,000.
And insurance policy, I assume it was from work? Or?
Correct. It came out of her pension.
So it was a pension?
Right.
And it is also my understanding from your complaint that there was no named beneficiary on the policy.
That's correct.
So far, are we correct on that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So, only asset is a $17,000 life insurance policy, correct?
Yes.
You have 7 siblings.
That's correct.
Correct. Your mother did not have a will.
No, she did not.
So you decided, I assume, that you had been taking care of her business?
Correct.
You didn't object to that?
I didn't object. I didn't know I was objecting to because she never consulted me on anything.
Don't give me a lot of baloney.
Carolyn Kruger says her brother, Kevin Perks, refuses to pay his share of their mother's funeral. Kevin says he shouldn't have to.
Now, when you went to visit her, did you take charge of her medical care, of overseeing her stay in the nursing home? Did you take care of her other business, or did you just go and visit her?
I just went and visited her.
So you knew somebody had to be taking care of that?
That's correct.
And who did you think was taking care of that business?
Carolyn.
There we go. And you didn't object to that?
No, I did not.
Perfect. Now, you did receive a portion of this life insurance, did you not?
That's correct.
How much did you receive?
$2,076 and some change. I don't know the exact amount.
When your mother passed away in April of 2007, did she pass away in the same town where you live?
Yes.
Did you go to the funeral?
Yes.
Did you put on a suit?
Yes.
You married?
Fiancé.
Did your fiancé go with you?
Yes, she did.
Do you have children?
Yes, we do.
Did you bring your children to the funeral?
Yes.
So they went to their grandmother's funeral?
Yes.
Were there flowers at the funeral?
Yes.
Was there a grave site that you went to?
Yes.
Did you ever stop to say to yourself, who's paying for this? Mr. Perks,
no.
Did you ever stop to say to yourself, who's paying for this?
Yes.
Did you think the burial fairy was paying for it?
No.
No. So you knew that somebody had to be paying for it?
That's correct.
Okay. And who did you think? Put your hand down. Who'd you think that was?
The life insurance policy.
Right! Look how smart you are. You thought that her life insurance policy was paying for it, right?
That's correct.
Put your hand down. It did. All your brothers and sisters kicked in from the life insurance policy to pay for the funeral, except you. That's what the case is all about. Now, your sister could very easily have said, I am going to take all the proceeds of this life insurance policy, and I'm going to pay the $6,000 for Mom's funeral, and whatever is left over, I'm going to give it to my brothers and sisters. Right?
That's correct.
Well, that's what you thought happened. Instead, your sister decided to do what she considered the right thing, which was name each of you as a beneficiary on the life insurance policy. You all got your money, and everybody divided the $6,000 or whatever it was for the funeral and sent her a check for their portion. Go!
Well, Your Honor, the life insurance policy, normally most life insurance policy, they have a provision, or the funeral home has an agreement where you can have a form filled out to have the life insurance policy paid for it, the funeral expense itself. She never told me about this expense whatsoever. A week after I got the check, I never heard anything from her, never agreed to it, never paid anything. She didn't consult me about it, nothing.
So? And your point would be?
I should have been consulted further on...
I'm consulting you right now. I'm consulting you. Who's supposed to pay for your mother's funeral? Not you. You have no legal obligation to pay for your mother's funeral. None. But you have no right to accept full proceeds of a life insurance policy, which by law is supposed to pay for her funeral expenses before it's dispersed to any beneficiary. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. So it was done a little bit backwards. Instead of taking the money out and then put your hand down. Does it sound like you're losing?
No, I'm sorry.
So instead of taking the $6,000 out and paying for the policy and then distributing it to you, she distributed it to the siblings and then says, okay, brothers and sisters, now send me a check. It's the same thing. Do you understand?
Yes.
You don't have to be consulted about that, sir. This one wants to say something. I'm just dying to hear what she has to say. Dying to hear what she has to say.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but during the funeral and everything that was at the funeral, as far as the casket, the flowers, anything, Kevin was not allowed or invited to pick any of that stuff out.
Was he invited to pick out who the nurses were going to be at his mother?
Your Honor.
Pay attention to what I'm saying to you. Was he consulted, and did he make himself responsible for his mother's care in the nursing home where she was?
He had no choice.
Of course he had a choice. Did he have a choice to pick you?
Yes.
Then he had a choice to pick where his mother went and who took care of her and participating in her care. He chose not to do that. Just as he chose, madam, listen to me very carefully, he chose to let somebody else take the responsibility for picking out a casket, for picking out flowers. It was not as if he wasn't invited to the funeral. He went with you and his children. He just made himself dumb, which I have a feeling isn't much of a stretch. You owe your sister your share of your mother's funeral. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. How much was it?
$750.
Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Gary Gallahan is suing his daughter, 22-year-old Rachel Gallahan, and her fiancé, Oliver Ross, for a loan to buy a carpet cleaning van.
Mr. Gallahan, this is your daughter, and this is her boyfriend, fiancé, whatever it is. They have children together?
Correct.
But they're not married, but they live together.
Yes, ma'am.
In any event, according to you, you made a loan to them in order for them to start a carpet cleaning business. You made a loan to them to get a van, because take your hands out of your pockets.
Yes, ma'am.
This is what they needed in order to start their business. You made the loan, they didn't pay, you want your money.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's find out certain things. When did you accept this money from your father?
It was the beginning of December 2008.
And tell me the circumstance surrounding your accepting this money from your father.
We had worked for a company, he had worked for a company, and I worked with the gentleman as a secretary, and the one company that he had started with doing carpet cleaning, they were leaving to Arkansas, and we really didn't want to have to leave and be relocated with our family. So I went to my father and asked him to give me money so that
No, that's not what you said to him. Let's go back a second. You went to your father and you said what?
That I need money to get a carpet cleaning van.
What did your father say to you?
That he would do it.
He would do what?
Give me the money. No. Lend.
I don't believe that you went to him and said, give me money. That's not what you would do. None of my children would ever come to me, and I have enough to do it, but they wouldn't come to me and say, I want you to give me money to buy a car. None of my children would ever do that. They would come to me and say, Mom, I'm in need of some money. Could I borrow some money from you? Hoping that I might say to them, tell me what you need the money for, and if it's for a good reason, I'll give it to you. Does that sound right to you, Bird?
That's absolutely right.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
All right. So now let's you and I understand each other.
Yes.
That certain things are common sense, unless you're a psychotic or a miserable person. Now, you're neither psychotic nor a miserable person, are you?
No.
So you would never go to your father and say, I need to buy a truck. I want you to give me money. Right?
Correct.
So Why don't we start all over again like this never happened? You went to your father and said,
can I borrow money for a carpet cleaning van?
Right. And what did he say to you?
That yes, he would get a loan and he would give me the money.
And what did you say to him?
Thank you.
And how did you make arrangements to pay him?
We never officially...
Don't look over there. Look over here. I'm not talking about officially with the Queen's stamp ring on anything. How was he supposed to repay the loan that he was taking out? He wasn't going into his savings. He was taking out a loan.
Yes.
How are you supposed to put your hand down? I'm not asking you a thing. He's not your father. How are you supposed to pay back this loan?
Yes, clearly in monthly payments, but I never took it into that consent that I was actually going to...
That's hardly English, what you just said to me.
Never thought it completely through, I guess, when I did it.
Well, then that's not my problem that you never thought it completely through. And Loverboy wasn't there. Is that right?
Correct. I went to my father's by myself.
That's right. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, ma'am. We agreed to $300 a month.
When did you agree to $300 a month?
I think I gave him the check on December 4th, sometime shortly after that.
Okay. And did they make any payments towards the loan?
They made $100 or $200, that's about it.
And when did they stop?
Oh, God.
When did she stop? Because right now, he has nothing to do with this loan. He's just standing there and looking reasonable.
And probably shortly after January, February, I'm not sure. Because on February, then, she wrote me 3 different checks to cash it separate times. You want to see also the check that I took out, the $9,000?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. She said that she wrote me 3 different checks to help make up for the payments in February there, you see. And I took it to the bank, and there was no funds in the bank account at all.
Truthfully, I did that so he would leave me alone. So I took out money from one account to another. I have 2 accounts, so I...
He was making threatening.
Yeah.
He was making
would-
threats to us daily.
I was not
Coming to
making
my
threats.
house.
He did make threats on my telephone that he hoped that the kids were going to end up in an orphanage when he was going to come tow the truck away that was in my name.
I did say to her.
Sure, just a second.
And
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you pay him his money?
I didn't know that.
Why didn't you pay him his money?
I didn't know there was agreement to pay it back.
You're full of baloney. You're full of baloney. You think that he gave it to you because he just thinks you're a nice guy? He doesn't have that kind of money, clearly. He had to take out a loan to get it. Why didn't you pay him back his money?
That's one reason I did give him the 100 because I was
Why
appreciative.
didn't you pay him back his money?
Well, I didn't have $9,000 to give back.
He
to him
wasn't
the same day.
asking you for $9,000. He was asking you for payments.
Sure. Well, he never asked me. I never talked to him. I don't talk to them. They talk to Rachel.
Well,
But from what I know, I'm normally.
Then, listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you earning any money carpet cleaning with the van that he bought?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were making money, and you were feeding yourself?
So I could work. Yes, ma'am.
You were putting a roof over your head?
Yes, ma'am.
Forget her.
Sure.
Forget the children. This is his daughter. You are nothing. Then you have to pay him back. You have to pay your father back.
If he had ever come to me strictly and said, you know, there's an agreement to pay, but we had never arranged the agreement together.
Then your girlfriend, and I'm not even saying why, your girlfriend lied to you. Now, is there any reason why you and the lovely Miss Goulahan have not married? Yeah, there are a couple of reasons.
Probably my fault.
There are a couple of reasons, okay? When you were without funds,
Sure.
was there any state money coming into your house? My question is a simple one. When you were without jobs, was there any state money coming into your house?
When we were first together, yes, ma'am.
When the children were born?
Yes, ma'am. I stopped that pretty quickly,
Yeah.
very temporarily.
Did you ever pay back the state? Did the state know you were living together?
Yes.
Oh, I doubt that. You owe your father this money, madam. He doesn't owe him anything because the contract was made with you.
Is there a contract?
Yes, there is a contract.
Where? In all due
Right
respect.
here.
Okay.
Right
okay.
here.
Okay.
In my mouth. There's an offer
right.
and an acceptance. And there was consideration paid. The consideration was he took out a loan. The agreement was your girlfriend, the mother of your children, would pay back the loan monthly. That was the contract. It was an oral contract. That's why we're here. If it was a written contract, it would be much easier, and I wouldn't have a television program that makes me highly successful. Do we understand each other, sir?
Yes,
Huh?
yes, ma'am.
Very good. Unfortunately for you, sir, the maximum that this court allows me to award you is the $5,000
Yes, ma'am, I
maximum
understand
limit
that.
of the court. You are owed a lot more than that. I hope that your daughter does the right thing and doesn't become a bum if she doesn't pay you back the rest of the money. That's exactly what she is. Do you understand?
Yes, I would
Do you?
just...
Good.
Most
Thank you
fathers
very
take
much.
you to
That's
college.
all.
Intuitive counselor Rosemary Guerra is suing her colleague, psychic Elizabeth Wines, for the return of money she paid for business leads.
Ms. Guerra, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for some sort of an investment that you made with her towards some future business. Each of you at least makes a living or an avocation of being a psychic.
Right.
And according to you, you gave Ms. Wines some money. What did you give her money for?
I gave her $1,500 in reference to some promises she had made in order for us to work events like fashion shows, concerts, special events.
What was she supposed to do for the $1,500?
She was supposed to introduce me to her friend Stacy. That's supposed to put us into events in order for us to work as intuitive readers or psychics. And she had promised me a lot of different events and different parties, 38 events for this year, and that never materialized.
Ms. Wines, what was the $1,500 for?
Leads.
Leads?
Leads for events.
And when did she give you the $1,500?
In February.
How long had you known Ms. Guerra?
Well over 3 years.
And you told her that this $1,500 was to secure leads for her?
Correct. To take place in June.
How many leads did you give her?
We never got that far.
Just a minute. This is what we have. We have $1,500 given to you to provide her with leads for events. How many leads did you give her?
She would not talk to me to pick out the events.
Okay. So the answer is you gave her no leads.
Absolutely none.
Then you have to give her money back. Your contract is she gave you the money to give her leads. You didn't give her any leads. She gets her money back.
She needed to pick the events. Not all the events are appropriate for psychic.
Show me any correspondence that you have between February and June asking her to pick out the events for the $1,500.
When I contacted her in April, or we mean when the producer contacted her in May, asking her to work the events, and she refused. Is that what you say?
That's hearsay. You have to give her back her money, Miss Wines. You have to stop whining and give her back her money. Do you understand? You didn't provide the service for which the $1,500 was designed. You didn't perform the service. Maybe you'll do it sometime in the future. Maybe you can all sit down and figure that out. But right now, you didn't provide her with what she contracted for. So you have to give her money back. It's very simple, right? Perfect. Goodbye. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Claudia Blanco says ex-boyfriend Rene Trujillo owes for illegally repossessing her car. Rene is countersuing, claiming Claudia's negligence ruined his credit.
Ms. Blanco, Mr. Trujillo was your boyfriend.
Yes.
Your complaint alleges that he co-signed for a car for you.
Yes.
The car was titled in his name?
And mine.
But he was on the loan?
Yes.
You couldn't get credit?
Both of us were on the loan.
But you couldn't get credit yourself?
Yes.
You broke up. And the agreement, when he agreed to co-sign for you, from what I understand, was as follows. He would co-sign for you, and you would make regular payments on the car, timely, that you would maintain insurance on the car, that you would pay for his cell phone, maintain his cell phone. Anything else, sir?
Medical insurance.
And keep him on your medical insurance, pay for his medical insurance.
Yes.
That was in exchange for him obligating himself on the car loan. You broke up. According to Mr. Trujillo, you were late in many of your car payments, which damaged his credit.
Yes.
In addition, although he doesn't say it, you do, you canceled his cell phone and canceled his medical insurance.
In January of 2007, yes. This year.
Whatever. You canceled his medical insurance. There was no time limit on this contract.
It wasn't really an agreement that I was going to pay his cell phone insurance. It was more of a blackmail, and I have emails to prove that.
What do you mean? Just a sec. I'll see you in a second. But it's my understanding, even from you, in your complaint, that we came to an agreement, this is what you swore to, that he would co-sign my car for me, and I would pay for his cell phone plan along with adding him to my medical insurance. That's what you say.
Yes.
So you canceled his cell phone and you canceled his medical insurance. You fell behind in your car payments, and he repossessed the car and turned it back in. Is that what you did with it, or are you driving it?
I currently have the car.
You currently have the car, and you've made up the car payments.
Right, I run it up to date.
You want all the money that you put into the car.
Not necessarily all the money, the down payment that I put into and the payments, some of the payments that I did, and for insurance and the cell phone bill that I did remove them from it, but it wasn't really an agreement. And I have emails that show that it was more of, if I take them off, that the car deal would be done and deal with.
Well, that's true. You know, you don't understand, Ms. Blanco. If you made that agreement with him when he co-signed for the car for you, which is what you say in your complaint, and you subsequently break up. So you get the dates. When did you break up?
In September of '06.
And when was the car purchased?
July 22nd of '06.
And when did you take him off the cell phone?
The cell phone, I took him off in this February of '07.
And when did you cut him off of your health insurance?
They didn't cancel that until August 31st of this year, after he took the vehicle and everything.
When did you cancel him from the health insurance? Not when they took him off. When did you cancel him?
When I told him June of this year.
June?
Of '07.
And he repossessed the car?
June 10th.
Which he lied about repoing the car. He did not tell me anything.
He doesn't have to tell you anything. How many times were you late on car payments?
4 times. But I have proof from VW that I called them, everything, we stayed in touch.
I don't care whether you stayed in touch. What does that mean, Ms. Blanco, that you stayed in touch?
Because they cut my hours from work. It was very unexpected. On March 10th, we had a meeting and they told us, hey, we're cutting hours by Monday. I went from working 40-plus hours to 32 hours. There was no way I could come up with the money. I was trying my hardest to get a second job, and Renee knew about this. He knew that I was trying to get a second job. I kept in touch with him. I only paid $110 this time.
Ms.
We're going to do it.
Blanco, you have to be a grown-up, sweetheart.
I was
Listen
now.
to me. You can't visit your problems on him. The fact that you were working with Volkswagen and they don't want your old car back, they want to work with you as long as they're going to get their money, right? That's one thing. That doesn't mean it's not reported to his credit as the co-signer. The fact that you lost hours impacted on him.
He
You
knew
understand that.
I understand
That's his
that.
complaint, because he has a counterclaim. He says you ruined his credit, because for 4 times, and I don't care if it was 4 times or 3 times or 2 times, if you don't make your car payment on time, the people who were responsible on that loan are going to be penalized. That was him. He has an absolute right to repossess the car for that alone. In addition to the fact that you had a contract with him, a verbal contract, he would obligate himself on the car if you would maintain him on his cell phone and your insurance. Well, after a while, you're not his girlfriend anymore. You say, I'm going to cancel that cell phone. I don't want to pay for a cell phone where he's calling other people, and I don't want to pay for his health insurance anymore. I'm canceling it.
It wasn't out of a malicious act to remove him.
It doesn't have to be malicious. That was your contract with him.
But it wasn't a contract.
Yes, it was. That's what you said. You
I
said
have
it
emails
was an
from him.
agreement. We came to an agreement that he would co-sign my car for me and I would pay for his cell phone along with adding him to my health insurance. You want me to see what you signed?
I know. I circled that agreement part. It wasn't...
That's what you signed.
I know.
That's what you swore to.
It wasn't an
That's what
agreement.
you said happened. That's what he says happened. You may not want to revisit that now.
Your Honor, there's an email here that shows the only reason I kept that going was because
she
of
doesn't
this.
understand that the email is going to support exactly what I said. Yeah, he says to you, you keep me on your insurance and your cell phone plan, and we'll keep the same car deal. That's what he says.
But it wasn't the car deal. The reason why it says car deal is because when we first signed up for the car, we signed up on July 22nd. A couple days after that, the guy that we did the car loan with called us in and said, hey, we have a better interest rate for you. If you come in, we could redo the contract. So I got sick a couple days after that, so we couldn't go right away. I had surgery, everything was fine. We went back and redid the contract, but before we redid the contract, we got into an argument, and I said, you know what, we have to take this out of my name, or out of your name, put it into my own name, now that, this is not how it's supposed to be. And in that email it says,
Ms. Blanco, was the car in both your names?
Yes.
Was the loan in both your names?
Yes.
Do you have proof, sir, that your credit score went from one thing to another?
I do.
Can I see it, please?
Sure. This is the before and the after with the credit scores highlighted.
I have the proof of, or not proof, but When we first co-signed the car, they did a credit check on us, and I have the credit score that they gave us on his and
Not
mine.
us, him.
And mine. Both of ours.
Just his.
Oh, you want
What
his?
was his?
His was 776.
Now it's 630. Now it's 630, based upon your 4 late payments. Now, was this a new car?
Yes.
You know, when you walk out of the showroom, the car is diminished by 20%?
Yes.
So he had to take over a car that was now worth 20% less because you ruined his credit, in addition to cutting off his cell phone and insurance. Forget that. So you don't get anything for that, Ms. Blanco? Nothing.
This
should
was
have
not,
kept
it wasn't an agreement. I know that it says in its agreement, but when we were signing it upstairs, I circled it and said it wasn't really an agreement.
Whether it was or it was not, you cannot ruin the co-signatory's credit rating because you had a problem with your job. That's not his problem.
He knew that, and we were trying. We both wanted to make payments on it, but they didn't take credit card. And I tried my hardest to get a second job.
Crying. Did you buy a new car?
No, I have not.
Why not?
I'm saving up for it.
Good. That's what you should have done.
Payments.
That's what you should have done.
And that's what we wanted to do, and I wanted to do, and I have proof that I tried my hardest to get my car to pass MOG so that I didn't have to get a new car. Chucky was also there as when I was searching for a new car. I did not want payments whatsoever, and he convinced me to get a new car and get payments.
You are a very strong young lady, and you don't seem to me like somebody who's shy. You got into difficulty. He had a right to take back the car.
Not the way he did, though.
Listen.
I was at work, Your Honor.
I'm not saying he was Prince Charming. He had a right to take back the car.
But I was at work, Your Honor, when he came, and I had lunch with my boss, and he just took the car. He did not warn me. After lying about having the spare key.
I'm not the moral police, Ms. Blanco. I'm here to decide a legal issue. The legal issue is, did he have the right to take the car? Absolutely. Did he have the right to sell the car? Absolutely. Does he have the right to keep the car and make the payments? Absolutely. That is his prerogative because you ruined his credit. You have no right to do that. You have to be a big grown-up girl and not say, because I lost my job, I had surgery, I had other things that happened to me, and I this and I have that. It's not my fault. He took the car the way I was having lunch with my boss. He didn't give me notice. You breached the contract to make the payments in a timely manner. May not have been of your own volition. It may have been because, I don't know, the sky was falling and henny penny and whatever other reason it was, but that can't impact on him. He's not your boyfriend anymore. He's not your boyfriend. He's not your father. He's not your brother. He has no moral obligation to you whatsoever. Now, you're driving the car, sir?
No, it's currently garaged at my mother's house.
Why?
Because I have nowhere to put it at. I go to San Francisco State, and I have no
Well,
garage.
who's going to drive the car?
My mom's driving it right now.
Oh, your mom's driving it. Good. So you have a nice car, right?
Right.
Good. So what are you complaining about?
By the time I sell the car to my supervisor here, I will have lost $5,000.
Well, you should have sold it to Hasuna.
She doesn't have. She's going to apply for a loan.
You should have sold it to Hasuna. That's not her problem. That's your problem.
Okay.
You took back the car. Car is in good running order.
Yes.
And now you're paying for it, and you're going to sell it to somebody else.
To her.
And right now your mother's driving it.
Right.
Very nice. Your counterclaim's dismissed.
Okay.
So is your claim. You're not entitled to any money back. That's all. Thank you.
Amy Evans is suing her ex-boyfriend, Timothy Beeler, for an unpaid loan to pay his rent and for the accrued interest on the loan. Timothy is countersuing for harassment and defamation of character.
Miss Evans, Mr. Beeler was a friend of yours, and you took out a loan for him, very high-interest loan, because he was in need of money. You want him to pay you back. The defendant says that you gave him money. He told you not to take out such a high-interest loan. You did it anyway. And he's got a counterclaim for some nonsense because you're angry at him for not paying back the loan, so he says you've been harassing him for the money and telling people that he's a deadbeat, right?
That's correct.
Well, you probably are. Truth is a perfect defense. Why did you take money from her?
I didn't take money from her, Your Honor. It was a...
Just a second. You did take money from her.
I did. She offered...
No, listen to me. You did take money from her. It is my judgment as to whether that is a loan or a gift. My question to you is, why did you take money from her?
We had been seeing each other, whatever was going on with her, in her relationship with her husband or whatever. We started talking again, and she had stayed over a couple nights. We were pretty close. We were getting along pretty good. I was telling her my situation about my roommate. He skipped out on me, left me kind of hanging. I was a little short on my rent and whatnot. She said she'd try and help me out. She came up with some money. Yeah, she handed it to me, and I took it. It was a gift. I didn't know that I was forced to pay back.
Just a second.
And everything was cool, and we started talking about our relationship and stuff and what we were going to do. Well,
tell me about that, sir.
What?
I'm confused because I read the papers, yours and hers. Tell me, when she stayed over at your house, did you stay in the same room?
Yes.
Did you stay in the same bed?
Yes.
I'm not paying Amy for anything. She gave me the money with the hopes of rekindling our romance, which has been over for years, according to you. Now, if it had been over for years, sir, why did you share a bed with her?
Why
Would you stand up straight, please?
Why did I share a bed with her?
Yeah, you said your romance has been over for years.
We were hanging out. We were seeing each other.
Hanging out is not sharing a bed.
Well, kissing and other things that go in that matter are. So, yeah, we shared a bed.
But you, listen.
Yeah,
but
we did.
Then you, listen to me.
Well.
Listen to me. Then you lied to me here when you wrote in this answer, she gave me money in the hopes of rekindling our romance, which had been over. So that's a lie.
Because.
Just a minute. That's a lie then, based upon what you just told me.
No.
That is absolutely.
Because when I told her I didn't want a relationship no more, she took off, didn't call me or nothing. She started telling a bunch of people that I was a deadbeat and all that.
You are a deadbeat.
Well, whatever. That's your opinion.
How old
your
are
opinion.
you? How old are you?
34.
34. If you're 34 and you can't afford to pay your rent and you borrow money or you take money.
Took it.
Take money.
Yeah.
I'll decide in a second whether you owe it to her. Take money from a woman who you say the relationship is over, and yet you share your bed with her, and according to you, talk about a relationship with her, and then take money from her. That makes you a deadbeat. And it makes you an amoral deadbeat. Because what you're doing is saying, listen, I need some money. She's going to give me some money. So I'll string her along. You know, I'll hug her and I'll kiss her and I'll sleep with her. And I'll sleep with her. We'll talk about our relationship.
I'm speaking.
I don't think so.
It takes two.
I'm speaking.
It takes two.
Did she take money from you?
No.
Your Honor, if I may.
Just a second. Do I look like I need any help from you?
No,
Sit down.
ma'am, you don't.
Sit down. You kissed her. She kissed you.
Right.
You hugged her.
Yeah.
She hugged you.
Okay. What's the point?
You took money from her.
Yeah.
She took money from you.
No.
Right. How much money does he owe you, this idiot? How much?
With interest, he owes me $3,900.
Just a second. You don't get any points from me for being an idiot. Okay?
Okay.
And if you take out an interest-bearing loan, and the interest on the loan is 87%, you'd get zero sympathy from me. Now, how much money did you give him?
$2,500, Your Honor.
That's what he's going to give you back. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Step out.
But, Your Honor, I had to pay $1,100 interest.
You shouldn't have taken out a loan for him, madam. You gave him $2,500. This idiot had no concept that he was going to have to pay you back $3,900.
He knew it was a loan, Your Honor.
He knew it was a loan.
And he knew about the
and
interest.
He's going to pay you back.
He was supposed to go back to work and pay me back.
Listen to me. He was supposed to go back to work. He didn't go back.
He was working.
I was working.
He was working with me. She was calling and texting.
Oh, all he does is he works everybody he knows. That's all he does.
Question?
No.
Very good. He owes a $2,500.
Cái điều kiện để được trở thành một thực tập sinh thì cái kỹ năng về cái điều kiện để được trở thành một cái thực tập sinh kỹ năng số 3 thì sẽ được gia hạn thêm 2 năm. Và về cái yêu cầu thì cần phải đáp ứng được các cái yêu cầu. Cái yêu cầu thứ nhất đó là phải hoàn thành cái chương trình thực tập sinh kỹ năng số 1, số 2 và phải hoàn thành 3 năm tu nghiệp và đã về nước từ 1 tháng trở lên. Điều kiện thứ hai đó là phải thi đỗ cái kỳ thi kỹ năng cấp độ 3 và được đánh giá là thực tập sinh tốt. Và thứ ba đó là phải cùng ngành nghề với cái ngành nghề thi từ 1 năm chuyển sang năm thứ 2. Và 6 tháng trước khi kết thúc 3 cái năm tu nghiệp thì tất cả thực tập sinh sẽ được tham gia thi tay nghề kỹ năng cấp độ 3. Đó là những cái điều kiện cơ bản mà muốn trở thành một thực tập sinh kỹ năng thì chúng ta cần phải đáp ứng được. Xin cảm ơn tất cả các bạn luôn theo dõi và đồng hành kênh của tôi. Hãy theo dõi và đồng hành với kênh của tôi để biết được các cái vấn đề xuất khẩu lao động như hiện nay. Xin cảm ơn tất cả mọi người.